Okie dokie. Oh, I need my chat logged in. I'm not even logged into the chat. Oh no. Hey everybody. Is anybody there? Cons? People are here? Oh my gosh. Hey guys, Basil here. You know me. I am doing a CAPTCHA, proving I'm not a robot. So I can sign in and see everybody's chat, which I cannot see right now. Just sent out the text message, which half of you will still not get. Oh my goodness. More computer problems. Can you believe it? Today has been brutal, which is why we're getting started a little bit late today, folks. I will not be on camera because my entire computer exploded in sort of a spiritual sense. But we do have a great show, so make sure to head to canarycry.party to check out all the cool stuff, man. Gonna love it. Sorry, I'm talking and doing at the same time, which you'd think at this point I could be pretty good at, but problem is I'm not in the metaverse today, so I'm getting distracted by all the flotsam and jetsam. Okay. All right, I think I'm ready to go, Gons. Gons is ready to go. Is the timer timed? Has the timer timed? A while ago, he says. Okay. All right, everybody. Ooh. Did that max out for you, Gons, when I said that? All right, everybody. Is that bad for you? Okay. Oh my gosh. It's going to be one of those days, folks. All right. Let's get the show started.
The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gons as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy. You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk.
You're listening to Canary. You're listening to Canary Cry News Talk. Today is December 14th, 2022. We're live to tape, episode 571. And today, you're not going to believe it, folks. Demon Sky Portals. Razzle Dazzle, I'm your best buddy, Basil.
Wow, that intro summarizes everything that happened leading up to going live today.
It's been this entire day, man.
My name is Gons, formerly of the Face Like the Sun YouTube channel, director of the Age of Deceit films, your favorite Asian provocateur for Christ, a.k.a. the Cabana Boy, live to tape from California. Getting cold out here. I know, not that cold, but colder. Here to bring you the best news, which is the gospel message of Jesus Christ, while reporting the egregious with a well-rounded, biblically grounded take on world events. And today's immersion phenomena, it was going to be that things are getting supernatural. Maybe they are, in the sense that machines are breaking. There's a reset that is necessary on some of our gear. You've been reduced to an emote on screen.
I might just permanently become an emote now.
This is how the digitization takes place. The equipment failing and just discouraging people to want to upload to the metaverse.
It's the next step in human evolution. It's not VR. It's not the metaverse. It's just you become a little bitmoji. You stay that way forever. Oh my goodness. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm still fixing things as we go here, but we're just going to keep going. I don't even have the disclaimer in front of us, so why don't you ring that little bell?
Mm-hmm.
Look, folks, listen up, YouTube.
Wow, unique episode today.
We're not giving any advice. We're not claiming to be experts. We're good boys. All right, YouTube, we're good boys. We're not here to give anybody any misinformation, malinformation, or disinformation as defined by Department of Homeland Security. YouTube, we're good boys. All right, let me give you a rundown.
Sorry, child in the way.
It's okay.
Oh, look, here's Basil.
Let me bring you up to speed.
Okay, Gates of the Gods, folks. Gons has a rundown that is going to blow your mind. The demonic sky portal above the White House. And then we're going to do checking with Flippy. Flippy's getting into fashion. You're going to love that one. Elon, some interesting social engineering. We're not going to be talking about Elon. But as far as the news media narrative being crafted, not just about Elon, but around those who Elon, I guess his supporters, those types of folks, apparently the deplorables, but some very interesting breakdown coming from the Atlantic. And then Gons is going to give us a little update on the SBF crypto extravaganza. He was arrested in the Bahamas during last episode, so we'll get an update on the situation. Then after the break, some COVID vaccine. I don't know. DeSantis going on the warpath, folks. You're going to love it. And then an Afrofuturism update in regards to some Biden commitments to Africa and what exactly we see playing out there. That's going to be very important. And then at the end, it's the balloon wars. The balloon wars in Antarctica, folks. The most important issue of our time. But first, our lead stories.
Yes. Roger Stone just got brought back, resurrected on Twitter, thanks to Elon, Mr. Maybe Antichrist. Who knows? Some people think so. But yeah, he's doing the resurrection of the conservatives that were censored in the last go-round.
Blanket amnesty. Mm-hmm. Blanket amnesty. He's bringing everybody back. Except
Ye. Apparently Ye crossed some lines, but that's a whole
he got brought back and then got kicked off again.
Yeah.
That's a fresh kickoff.
But yeah, Roger Stone on Twitter, first off, he had this tweet, which I thought was interesting. He says, the prophet Kim Clement said America would be saved by a simple stone. Quote, remember that name, he said. That is the inspiration for this signed Roger Stone paperweight. Maybe one day your grandkids will pay for college by selling it to the Smithsonian.
Right. Yes, this is his selling rocks to fund his legal troubles.
Signed rocks. And there's a photo of some white rocks that look like they came from a neighbor's yard.
Yeah, they just came from the side of his walkway.
Yes, and he's got a Sharpie with Roger signed on these multiple rocks. Looks definitely like something that you would want to buy for your children. But in the meantime, Media Matters was all over one of his claims here. And Media Matters for America is sort of would you consider it left-wing? Let me just check and pull up. Media Matters.
It's not pretty on strongly left-wing.
Yeah, it's not on the Harvard media list, but that's okay. We know them to be.
Yeah, it's less of a news outlet and more of like a NGO type of situation.
Right. They kind of feed the news outlets some info, right? Some stuff to talk about sometimes. But anyway, they had this headline here. Roger Stone claims, quote, a demonic portal opened above the White House when the Bidens moved in and, quote, demons populate the Biden administration, which are pretty bold claims. And he was on with this. I think this is Eric Metaxas. I may be saying that wrong on December 11th. I'll play just a snippet from that interview.
I called a police officer I know, who works in Arlington, he's a friend of mine, and I said, look, do me a favor, would you go down and check this out? He said, are you out of your mind? I said, no, just humor me. Go down there and check it out and call me back and tell me what you see.
Right.
And take photos. And he called me back about 2.5 hours later and he said, you're not going to believe this, but there's definitely something there. And it's there, he said, other people were there photographing it. One man called and said, you can see it day or night. It's like a smudge in the sky, almost like a cloud that doesn't move. But when you zoom in on it with a telephonic lens, it's swirling like a cauldron.
Has this persisted?
Yes, it's still there.
It's still there.
It's still there.
Okay, that's nuts. Like, how has the media not covered this?
Well, the media doesn't cover a lot of things that are true. The point, of course, is that prophets, who I do believe, and other holy men have told me that only prayer can close the demonic portal. I believe that as well. I actually address it in my prayers every night. But there's something going on there. There's no question about it. You can think I'm crazy. Go look for yourself.
There you go. There's the claim. Any thoughts, Basil, before we move into some?
I do have a lot of thoughts. You just said before the clip, that it was a bold claim. And I'm not sure if bold claim is necessarily how I would describe it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I know what you're mean. Well, I know what you're saying, but, because Roger Stone, especially recently, has sort of inhabited this very specific Christian culture that is some people would call it the what is it? The NAR, the New Apostolic
Reformation.
It's that kind of crowd. It's the charismatic
the Seven
crowd.
Mountains.
It's the Seven Mountains crowd. It's the, that's kind of where he is in. It's like
in
his
kind
of
Christendom,
in the Christian, at least in his influence, the words he says, the way he speaks. And I can say this because I grew up in that tradition. I can identify it. He's got a lot of those identifiers. So
it's a pretty strong political arm too, right? It's like one of the biggest charismatic, politically driven groups, if you can consider it a group or a... Well, yeah, I don't know if they're necessarily politically influential, but they are. They take exist. They take the supernatural worldview very seriously. Right. So, it's different because some Christians might say yes, there's a demonic portal above the White House. And you go okay. But then there's some people that say, there's a demonic portal over the White House. And they mean there is a literal giant swirling portal that you can see with your eyes that the news isn't reporting because the news doesn't report any truth.
I'm going to take a picture of it. I'm going to show you the picture of it. It's not going to be a very good picture, but I will then describe to you what you should be seeing, this type of thing. Right. And so, just for some context on Roger Stone, that's kind of where he's found a home in the past few years, which I think even complicates the you think different groups of people that hear him talk about a demonic portal. You got secular people, right? And it's funny because secular people will take a claim like that more literally than a lot of Christian people. Because then you have the first group of Christian people who would say yeah, okay, demonic portal over the White House, but kind of mean it more in a invisible spiritual sense,
right? The principalities and powers that control governments or influence governments or whatever.
Right. And there will be a range in there. Some people will kind of consider it more metaphorical or allegorical or whatever. And then some people, they might think there's a literal portal, but you can't see it. You can't go up into it. And then there's another section of Christians that are yes, it's literal. It's there. You can take a picture of it, go up and go slash some demons or whatever.
Yeah. Well, that's the side that Roger Stone is on. There was an interview. That's where he's at, baby. Yeah. So there was an interview that he did earlier. I don't know at one point, but this is definitely earlier in the year with Steve Schultz of Elijah List and Robin D. Bullock. And in that interview, he does show some photos and some images, although it didn't really satisfy my standards, but here it is.
There you can see it. It's very, very clear.
Now, this is an overhead picture of the White House. Looks like from some nearby place that's higher up. I don't know if it's a helicopter or a hill or something. and there is a blurry red glowing thing. It's very blurry above the White House.
Circular.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's kind of circular and then kind of cones up
right
above, Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's definitely
honestly what it looks like is it's a cloudy night or a foggy night and somebody's shooting a spotlight up above the White House is what it looks like to me.
Right. But it is very blurry though. Okay, so here's what
There you can see it. It's very, very clear. It doesn't move day or night. It's harder to see during the day, but you see it at night. I'm absolutely convinced about the inherent, there it is again, about the inherent evil of what's going on in the White House, what's going on in the country. And I think it's imperative that people know about this, that people of good faith, that Christians know about this, and we begin a national, essentially a prayer assault to close the portal. Closing this portal is crucial to victory.
Yeah.
And I want others to talk about it. I want others to see it. You can look it up online. You can go to the...
See, that's the little sneaky thing I just want to point out, is that while it is, I think praying for the country and stuff like that, that's important. To make the entire mission for victory, specifically in the context of political, and doing so by closing the portal with prayer, in a very specific call to action. I don't know. Does it undermine the greater plan or commission to spread the gospel?
Well, I see what you're saying. Yeah, that case could definitely be made. I don't trust this guy, man. Roger Stone is...
You don't want to buy his signed stone? Come on.
I've been so ambivalent about him for so long. I just, he's entertaining. He wears like Willy Wonka outfits and stuff to the White House.
Yeah, right.
but I really don't like this guy. He's got some serious, like, just con man vibes.
Yeah.
I think he's a Trump operative, and I think specifically his role is he's the like religious right Trump operative, because Trump has a big problem in that he's just not a very good person, and is not necessarily a Christian man. But you gotta have your operative to keep the Christians on your side,
right? You gotta have your John the Baptist doing some heavy lifting for the crowd.
Exactly. Yeah. That's his role. He's the John the Baptist. Although I don't know if that's a perfect.
It's not a perfect example, but you
metaphor.
Get it.
But yes, I hear what you're saying. Yeah. That is so interesting.
I do. If you go to the show notes for this episode, there is a link to EarthTV.com with a live feed of the White House. So,
can you see the
He
portal?
told us to look for ourselves. There's some glare that looks like, it's a portal there. I see it. It's a portal, Basil. I think it's there.
Yeah, I think I would like to call the maintenance guy at the White House and
wipe down some cameras or...
No, just go, move the spotlight that's, because the White House has all these spotlights around the whole thing that shine up on it, even right now at the White House webcam thing.
I actually see the shape.
Lit up green.
I see the shape that...
It's there.
It's there. You see the kind of a, I don't know, hexagonal type of shape thing with the little cone moving above it. But the other thing is, like you said, there's some lights.
Here's what I'm wondering. Sorry to interrupt.
Sure.
But is this webcam the exact same angle as, Roger Stone's buddy who went up there and took a picture?
Ooh, yeah.
Because if he had just pulled it from this live cam feed, and that red thing is actually a glare on the webcam feed.
Yeah.
Because around the webcam, you can see it. There's street lights. There's lights all around it. And then you're going to get some lens flare from, lights just not being angled well on a webcam.
Well, by the way, it is the exact same angle. There's a tent that gives away that it's the same spot. There's basically the shape of the angle of the White House, pretty much exactly the same. It looks like it just, was snipped out
cropped.
of a corner.
Like
yeah,
you
cropped on the right side or something.
You just crop it into a vertical camera thing.
Yeah,
I think he just pulled it from this webcam.
Wow, man.
For sure. Yeah, it is the exact
same angle.
It's zoomed in and it's cropped to be the size and shape of like an iPhone picture. But I think it's from this webcam. This webcam, you can see, has lights glaring on it from around the sides. I mean, it's got camera flares all over this thing.
All over.
And that looks like a camera flare from just like a street light. And he is lying and pulled this picture off of a publicly accessible webcam and is calling it, his police buddy's camera.
Hey, but you know what?
That would explain why it's so blurry too. There's not a phone in the world right now that couldn't take a non-blurry photo at night of the White House.
Okay. Well, there is a second picture that is shown in that first interview there where he was dealing with the other guys. And that's a different angle. I don't think that's a webcam angle. And it does have a little more detail on this object in the sky, allegedly.
Okay.
And it kind of looks like the mainstream version of the coronavirus. It's like a ball with some spikes on the outside. It's kind of what it looks like. I am actually I'm with you on most of this, but also could there be some kind of lighting system there that does some kind of because when you have
they always do. They always
right. That's what I'm saying. When you have those moving lights, but then they all point to one spot in the sky, it could create this sort of illusion that there's something floating there.
Honestly, that could just be one, and it shows up on foggy nights, cloudy, because what it looks like is a spotlight that's hitting a fog layer and then being diffused upwards. Right. Notice how it doesn't there's no shape underneath.
Right. It's a portal. It's a rip in space-time.
Right. The portal is facing down. That's how portals work.
Yeah.
Okay, well, there you go. Roger Stone.
I think this warrants a debunker bunker.
Get to the bunker!
The Debunker Bunker.
I forgot about the Debunker Bunker.
I think we just debunked one of Roger Stone's claims here. But, I just to wrap things up, we're going a little long. But the setup here, I think, and to your point about, he's kind of the Trump religion guy, faith guy. There was this article published by DailyStar today. And the headline here is, "Seeing Ghosts and Aliens Means You Have Brain Damage," says expert. so a Spain-based brain expert. He's just doing research, and here's a quote: "I haven't come across any paranormal phenomena that cannot be explained by a damaged brain." So, it's been kind of a known thing where you can stimulate certain parts of the brain and it can create a sort of supernatural type of experience or vision.
Sure.
So it's along those lines. And then it goes in and talks about pareidolia, which we've talked about, where it looks like there's a shape of a face in certain
facial
objects
recognition.
And stuff like that. Right. So, interesting article, but it is kind of funny because if they are to apply this generally to past headlines from the Daily Star, we have NASA reveals picture of alien planet outside solar system in transformative moment. Maybe Daily Star retroactively is suggesting that NASA has brain damage, which I think a lot of us would agree with. The Osbournes' paranormal encounters, mysterious apparitions, UFOs, and psychic powers. Well, clearly the Osbournes are just
Ozzy
an example.
Explicitly has some brain damage.
Brain damage family. Yeah, so it fits perfectly. Aliens and UFOs. This is another headline from Daily Star. Aliens and UFOs could be found in lost cities of Atlantis, El Dorado, and Shangri-La.
Shangri-La, yeah. Well, duh. That's the whole point of those places.
Yeah,
what are you talking about, Daily Star?
Apparently, these people have brain damage. All the people looking for all these locations.
All the Atlanteans.
And then my favorite here, another Daily Star. These are all from the last year. Aliens will crush humans in terrifying war, then crack planet like a nut, claims expert.
I'm in the wrong business, man. I just need to be an alien expert.
So
nobody's writing DailyStar articles about my Antarctica theories. Come on.
Yeah. Well, the world will catch up to us at some point, Basil. It's always
They
We're
always do.
sort of ahead of the
They
curve.
always do.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's
Okay.
Wednesday.
It's Wednesday.
It is Wednesday, my dudes. Wednesday.
Hey guys, know what date it is? It's Wednesday. It's time for the Canary Cry News Talk. Yeehaw!
It is Wednesday, my dudes. It is Wednesday, my dudes. Wednesday, my dudes. It is Wednesday, my dudes.
It is Wednesday, Gonzo, and this is where we all scream because it's been a bad Wednesday. How you doing? What's up with you?
Oh, wow. Yeah, there's a lot going on. Always. Life, family. I got Cody here. Cody's in the room. And my
Cody Get in the World Eater's back.
Yep,
people love that guy.
Yep. I'm not going to pick him up right now.
Okay. All right.
Huh?
Yeah, but no news, no fun, exciting events or anything?
Nothing to report at the moment. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll have some big reports later.
Getting a lot a lot of people asking about.
I do have one thing. Sorry. I'm sorry.
All right.
Sorry. There's a special birthday that we need to announce today, which I don't know if he's listening. He's probably not listening. But it is L.A. Marzulli's birthday today.
Oh.
Happy birthday, L.A.
Yeah, great. Happy birthday, L.A. Marzulli.
Yeah, it's a perfect day to start off the episode with a UFO portal demons and Roger Stone, too.
Yes, it's our birthday present to L.A. Thank you very much.
Okay, sorry, continue.
Yeah, no problem. People have been asking about my sleep issues. I mean, it had gotten pretty bad. It was the worst after Monday's show. Monday night, literally did not sleep a wink.
Oh, wow.
Just laid there forever. Another entirely sleepless night. Which, look, there's ways that can be fun if you're doing some sort of exciting activity. I was not doing any exciting activities, just suffering and questioning all my life decisions. So the good news is that made it really easy to actually get an official full night's sleep last night.
Hey.
Which was a great start to today. I actually woke up like early, was feeling good, feeling great. And then, thank you. Was getting ready for the show. And started just having some mild computer trouble, and then was sort of doing some restarts, just trying to clear out the pipes, and then basically sort of 3 or 4 hour decline into badness. Officially, the show computer is dead. Won't even boot. Boo.
It died suddenly, Basil.
It died suddenly. Yeah, right. Put it on the list.
Better check for some spike protein in that motherboard.
Yeah. Oh, trust me. I'm going to get a full post-mortem on this sucker. And I'll present all of the blood clots later. Yeah.
Just sell it to Elon. Be like, hey, Elon, there's a lot of secrets in this box here. You want to buy it?
I have a scoop for you, Elon. Yeah. And, you were there. I took some pretty drastic.
Yeah.
Some pretty, as the time went on, as the hours went on, I took increasingly larger and more drastic steps to fixing the computer. Even did a full operating system,
reinstall
thing, did the whole thing, had it working for a second, and then it just stopped, just doesn't even boot. So yeah, it's a bummer. I'm kind of on a weird mix of the at-home rig and the my travel rig. It sounds weird, feels weird. I don't like it. It's depressing me. But, I don't know. I got a guy who's going to look at my computer. He's actually the guy who helped me build it. And we'll see if we can bring it back to life. But I don't know, man.
Yeah, just replace a couple arms with some upgraded flippy arms and some
put like some flippy spider arms on it, set it free into the desert. Yeah, well, if I can't bring it back to life and it can't be salvaged or anything, the problem is we built it, so like it has a bunch of really good components in there.
It's been a few years, though, has it not?
Yeah, it first got put together in 2016. So
okay, so that's already outside of the typical IT standard life cycle of a computing machine.
It's lived a long life, but I don't know.
Yeah, we're already beyond the time limit on
the expected lifespan.
Lifespan. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah. Well, when you build your own, you can kind of make it last longer. But anywho, so that's what's going on. Show might sound, or my end of the show might be a little weird, at least through the end of the week. I might not be on camera, but we'll figure it out. Maybe I can sort of get creative here. So, other than that, we have some producers to thank.
Executive producers.
That's right. We're on the value for value model. We take no corporate money whatsoever. We are entirely funded by people who get value from the show. It's not just charity. It's not just nothing. It is an agreement between us and those who get value from the show. If this show brings any value to your life, you can head on over to canarycryradio.com/support. canarycryradio.com/support. And put some value back in. It's not just about money either. You can produce the show with your time, your talent, or your treasure, and whatever fits your life, whatever fits the value this show brings into your life. And it's not, it is voluntary. It is totally voluntary. However, it is very real because we have no other income source for the show. It is very real that the show depends on people taking the opportunity to change their paradigm of what quality independent media should be and how it should be funded and run, and then participate in the value for value model. The executive producers are those who come in, they carry a heavy load, they're generous with their support and their value, and we appreciate them very much, and we have one to thank today.
All right. Who is it? Tell me.
Today's executive producer for episode 571 is executive producer Kevin M.
Kevin M. Thank you, Kevin.
Yes, indeed. And Executive Kev comes in with a nice round number. We don't disclose the amount when you come in with a nice round number, but we appreciate it very much. And I did not see a note or an email or anything. If that is a mistake, go ahead and hit us up again, Kevin. We'll give you a read some other time if you'd like. But there you go. Everybody stand and cheer for executive producer Kevin M.
Where'd you find this?
Thank you, Kevin. Appreciate it.
That's right. And that's it. I will say, as of this exact moment, we have one producer of the show who came in over the $7.77 amount. Wow. So right now, this show is running on our executive producer. Thank you very much, executive producer Kevin N. And $7.77. Wow. Plus our cutoff people, of course, which our streakers. They go a long way too. But yes, it's fun. This has been a year of records, Gons.
Well,
and starting the show with exactly one producer above 777 is a new record. So we appreciate that very much. This is one for the Metaverse Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
So if anybody out there listening would like to produce this show, you'll get a lot of love. You can head on over to canarycryradio.com/support.
patreon.com/support.
All right.
Beat time.
Flippy update.
Do you want fries with that?
It's Flippy time. Flippy is our colloquial name for the disembodied robot arms that are taking our jobs, enslaving our children, and flirting with our spouses. We used talking about Flippy as a way to explore all the new, fun, and exciting ways that robots are taking over the world and how there's nothing we can do about it. Today's Flippy update is coming from usnews.com. Dun, dun, dun. And the headline: robots set their sights on a new job. Oh no, this is what we're afraid of, Gons. They're taking everybody's jobs.
Mm-hmm.
But they set their sights on a new job, sewing blue jeans.
Hey.
Blue jeans. Okay. I mean, what's more American than blue jeans, Gons?
Apple pie.
Here we go. The article reads like this: there is a quiet effort. Oh, I jumped too far. Here we go. Will a robot ever make your blue jeans? Wow.
This sounds like
That's
a
the
downside up episode from Chris Siliza.
That's true. This is Chris Shilzilla Bong Thoughts right here. Will a robot ever make your blue jeans? There's a quiet effort underway to find out.
It's quiet effort.
This is
a
a
secret
cabal.
intelligence
Secret
deep from the CIA
underground
office.
Cabal of robot jeansmen involving clothing and technology companies, including Germany's Siemens AG and Levi Strauss & Co. Quote, clothing is the last $1 trillion industry that hasn't been automated, said Eugene Slowajow, who heads a project at a Siemens lab in San Francisco that has worked on automating apparel manufacturing since 2018. This surprised me very much, Gons.
I was going to say,
yeah,
I thought clothing would be number one.
I don't know why it didn't occur to me long ago. Like, it seems, clothing, which is infamous, an industry infamous for, sweatshops and child labor and fast fashion and all sorts of horrible things. You'd think that they would have automated long ago. I guess, okay, I get it now. Robots, replacing workers with robots, specifically, you do this to save money, right? To save on labor costs.
Right.
Well,
still cheaper.
We know that apparel companies infamously are paying like 3 cents a day to Bangladeshi children to make clothing for Americans. So it makes total sense, actually. It's hard to make a robot that's cheaper than child labor overseas.
Yeah, the marketing team has to project forward, the robot will. Yeah. After 3 years, you'll have saved whatever.
It says this guy's been working on automating apparel since 2018. What do you mean working on? Is it really that hard? You've been working on it for almost 5 years and you haven't figured it out?
Slow and steady, man. It's $1 trillion industry.
Just not cheap enough yet. The idea of using robots to bring more manufacturing. Now, listen to the way they frame this. The idea of using robots to bring more manufacturing back from overseas gained momentum during the pandemic as snarled supply chains highlighted the risks of relying on distant factories. Yes, of course. We've been saying that forever. The robots.
It's the day of the lockdowns.
Yeah, exactly. Finding a way. Wow, they actually mentioned Bangladesh in here. Finding a way to cut out handwork in China and Bangladesh would allow more clothing manufacturing to move back to Western consumer markets, including the United States. But that's a sensitive topic. Ooh, it's a sensitive topic. What did I tell you? Many apparel makers are hesitant to talk about the quest for automation, since that sparks worries that workers in developing countries will suffer. Jonathan Zorno, who has developed a technique to automate some parts of jeans factories, said he has received online criticism and one death threat. So there is an interesting labyrinth of social issues wrapped up in this Flippy update because, of course, I mean, forever, at least since the 90s, when the social justice 90s kids were talking about it. The fact that all of our clothing is made in sweatshops in Bangladesh is a bad thing, right? That's bad. We shouldn't have children with tiny little fingers sewing our jeans overseas. That's a bad thing. And yet, now we have the whole robots are taking our jobs thing is being used to protect child labor overseas. So somebody in this process is taking advantage, and I believe it's the clothing companies themselves, but who knows? Somebody's taking advantage of these very complicated, eco-socioeconomic problems, and sort of creating like a victimhood out of this robotic situation.
Right.
Because we could bring manufacturing of apparel to the United States. And the point is, the only way to do that would be with robots. Because if you had to, pay Americans, even American minimum wage to make our clothes, shirts would start at like $100 or something. Yeah. Like it would be insane. So it's much less about trying to make clothes cheaper now, and much more about trying to get manufacturing onshored at all. So it's a very political issue and not really a, robots are taking our jobs issue. I don't know. I just found it, we talk about the social engineering aspects, the PR, the convincing of the public about robots taking over certain jobs. And in this case, if you're a true sort of compassionate person, you would be absolutely in favor of the robots ending child labor. So now you have sort of a moral imperative to get the robots to take away probably 1 million jobs overseas. You add up all the garment makers or whatever. It's an incredible replacement of human labor, and has complicated the situation quite a bit.
Well, it sounds like this is part of the big clothing, kind of like big pharma, but big clothing, or like the clothing industrial complex, because it says here, Siemens worked with the Advanced Robotics for Manufacturing Institute in Pittsburgh, created in 2017 and funded by the Department of Defense to help old line manufacturers find ways to use the new technology. So there you go.
Yeah, and it does kind of connect to this transhumanist idea also of everything should be automated. All manufacturing should be automated, no matter who it puts out of business or whatever, and that it's morally and ethically imperative that we sort of delete the need for human labor at all. And, apparel is such a humongous industry, trillions of dollars, that it would affect an enormous amount of people.
Yeah. I guess, and also to switch out, eventually, once they decide to do this, they got to figure out a way to create some kind of universal basic income for all those like the Bangladesh type. Hey, here's a VR headset. You can earn something in the metaverse.
Yeah, you
instead of making clothes. You can make clothes in the metaverse. Make me my digital clothes, my skins.
Yeah. All right. Well, there's some more stuff there, but I think that's kind of that was the main rub on it. That was the main addition to the FLIPPY theory over the years.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, let's talk a little bit about money, right? We're doing money?
Yes.
Okay, because there was a little thing going on with that.
No, you're moving. You're right.
Okay, let's go.
Is this a crypto? Do I look like I know what a crypto is?
Buy crypto, don't fear. Crypto,
Sam Bankman-Fried was arrested in the Bahamas. There's some grainy footage of it, not really worth showing here, but there's some interesting things going on surrounding the Bahamian government and their sort of moves to take the assets right before the bankruptcy or right during the bankruptcy. Yeah, there's a lot of drama going on because if they find out that the Bahamian government specifically got their hands on the assets before, the filing of the bankruptcy for FTX, then that's stealing from the U.S. in a way. And there's some stuff. And, interestingly
I wonder,
enough,
that just on its face, that sounds like it could, that Sam Bankman-Fried could have set that up.
He could have.
That it could be like part of the plan. It's not even.
It's very confusing right now.
They're playing a role in the conspiracy or something.
Yeah. There's all kinds of different theories now. And interestingly enough, your favorite, Basil, one of your favorites anyway, AOC was at the FTX hearings yesterday making some interesting claims or cases, grilling the new CEO about some of the stuff. But anyway, the CNBC article here, Senate banking hearing set to take aim at FTX and cryptocurrency industry, the largest Ponzi scheme in history. And this is a 2-day thing. They're doing it today again, where the new CEO of FTX, John J. Ray III, is answering questions and presenting things. And there's been a lot of discussions around Sam Bankman-Fried and this whole FTX collapse and crypto and everything else. And I had pointed out, I don't know, a few months ago maybe, that crypto is going to become more political in the next couple years. In 2024, by 2028, it'll be just a main topic of conversation. And we're seeing that now. And I think it's important for us to keep track of it because a lot of bills are going to be presented, a lot of legislation, and our regulators are, you'll see about the regulators. But in any case, I don't want to necessarily go down a bunch of rabbit trails. I just want to sort of present some of this information here. Vox had this article about Sam Bankman-Fried, the socially sanctioned arrogance of SBF, which is interesting because for a few weeks, all the mainstream outlets were defending Sam Bankman-Fried, even post, the collapse and all that. But now they're starting to turn on him. Which
famously, New York Times.
Well, it's the worst. Yeah, worst offender. This was written by Emily Stewart over at Vox, and there's a little bio here about Emily Stewart, and it says Emily Stewart covers business and economics for Vox and writes the newsletter The Big Squeeze, examining the ways ordinary people are being squeezed under capitalism. Before joining Vox, she worked for The Street. So, you're already getting a anti-capitalist bent. It's the only way the only attack vector to get on the right side of the Sam Bankman-Fried discussion. But you have something to say there?
I don't know. I was going to say, I talk about how our capitalist system is squeezing people, but it's not about the system. It's about the people running the system.
Right. Yeah. So many nuances. Nothing too interesting from this article per se, but the clips from the actual FTX hearings, that's what I want to play for you. This first one is Mrs. Wagner asking the new CEO, Mr. Ray, about Enron. Mr. Ray, I think, was in charge of looking at the whole Enron case, which was one of the biggest collapses, right, as in recent history. But here we go.
Well, you have compared.
Go ahead.
No, I mean, that's what we were quite young when Enron happened. We were. But Enron was basically kind of the FTX scandal of the late 90s.
Right.
You have compared FTX as worse than Enron. Can you please elaborate on some of the specific ways FTX is worse than one of the largest corporate frauds in history?
The FTX group is unusual in the sense that, I've done probably a dozen large, scale bankruptcies over my career, including Enron, of course. Every one of those entities had some financial problem or another. They have some characteristics that are in common. This one is unusual, and it's unusual in the sense that literally, there's no record keeping whatsoever. It's in the absence of record keeping. Employees would communicate, invoicing and expenses on Slack, which is, essentially a way of communicating for chat rooms. They use QuickBooks, a multi-billion-dollar company using QuickBooks.
QuickBooks?
QuickBooks. Nothing against QuickBooks, very nice tool, just not for a multi-billion-dollar company.
So Slack and QuickBooks, Basil, that's the charge.
This is funny because I don't want to come off like I'm defending these guys. How old was the company? How long did the company exist?
It, I believe, opened its doors in 2019. Alameda Research had already existed before then. Yeah.
So this was essentially a startup.
It's a startup.
This was a startup in the first 3 years of its life.
Went from nothing to billions.
Yeah,
overnight,
sure. Yeah. Should they have upgraded some of their tools when they got to their...
Hey, it's just a few more zeros on the ledger,
Yeah.
What's the difference?
When they got to their first billion, should they have maybe sprung for, I don't know, QuickBooks Pro or something?
Yeah, what if they were using the free version, Would you like to upgrade? Like, no. We will squeeze every dollar.
It is a little funny because if you don't, if you're not so familiar with kind of like the startup culture or whatever, it's easy to mock the using the QuickBooks and Slack, but that's what startups use. You get these free tools. If you're starting a company, you get the free QuickBooks, you trial account, you get the Slack. Those are the tools you use to build the company. And if it's only 3 years old and if it's working, that's the question. If the tools are working, then you just don't change them. Now, here's the thing, because here's the danger of blaming it on Slack and QuickBooks. Some of the danger is they lost $1 billion because they were using Slack and QuickBooks.
Well, it's like 8, but yeah, go ahead.
It's what?
It's like 8 billion that's missing, but go ahead.
Sure. So that's what I'm saying. So they lost $8 billion because they didn't upgrade their business tools.
No.
Instead of no, they stole $8 billion and offshored it and lied to everybody and blah, blah, blah. So, it's a little bit of like a okay boomer type of situation hearing these Congress people talk about QuickBooks and Slack, but still,
this is the CEO. This is the CEO that took over FTX to go in there and clean it up or whatever. So
sure.
It's not looking great, but because, who knows, this guy might be in on making sure that, SBF or whoever's involved doesn't get as much of a sentence. And you never know what's going on.
That's what I mean. It kind of, it's ludicrous, but it's almost like theatrically ludicrous.
Yeah, well,
it's ludicrous in sort of a theatrical way that could result in it's a check mark in the column that is the mainstream defense of SBF, where they're just trying to say he got in over his head. He's just a poor kid who was the victim of his own success, and trying to blame it on, startup company tools and having not upgraded them. It kind of feels like, see, they got in over their head. They were using QuickBooks and they should have used Illuminati accountants,
Right. Well, hold your horses, strap in. Doesn't get much better here. Here's another. I didn't even look up the regulator. This fella had this to say about the whole crypto situation.
I wonder if you would support a resolution that I've been thinking about introducing, changing the name of cryptocurrency to creepy dough currency.
What?
I'm going to discuss this with my colleagues. I think it's an appropriate name. I just wanted to know whether you would support.
So let's say I have Dogecoin, or I don't even know how you say it, but I have 10 Dogecoin, which a year ago is a Dogecoin or Dogecoin. All right, I have 10 Dogecoins.
I think I start off a little bit like Paul Krugman does in the New York Times. I don't get the point. I really don't get the point of blockchain and cryptocurrency. It's like keeping track of how many times you chew gum. Like, who cares?
Okay, so those are some of these are the people, the officials that will regulate crypto moving forward.
Yeah,
that's incredibly concerning.
That is very concerning.
Very concerning that these people are going to be writing in laws about what to do with crypto. Now there is some hope. I'll get to the good stuff, but
the funny part of it is that like it's like they don't even want to know more about it. It's kind of like when your dad is trying to talk about something you're interested in, like what's it called? Pokemon? Pokemons?
Pockrinkin?
Like, come on.
Music about Pockrinkin. That was my mom.
I don't care. It's stupid. I don't even want to pronounce it right. This Dogecoin. I don't even know. I don't even get the point of it. It's like, oh, okay, good. Well, I'm glad you're in charge of regulating it for the whole world.
Yeah, well, and then there's this guy who's Mr. Sherman, who's been famous for just really hating on crypto, but he chimed in.
For 5 years, I've been trying to ban American investments in crypto. My fear is that we'll view Sam Bankman-Fried as just one big snake in a crypto Garden of Eden.
Huh?
The fact is, crypto...
Hold on, let's stop there for a second. Sam Bankman-Fried is one big snake in a garden of, what did you say? Crypto? Garden of Eden? Eden?
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
The fact is, big snake in a crypto Garden of Eden.
Crypto garden.
The fact is, crypto is a garden of snakes.
Huh?
Now, from the outside, crypto just looks like a non-fungible token, an electronic pet rock for the 21st century, something that might be good to invest in, even though it has no apparent value, because you might get somebody else to buy it from you for even more. But in reality, the hope of crypto is to be a currency, to compete with the U.S. dollar, and to announce its advantage over the U.S. dollar in that competition. It puts the advantage right in the name. Crypto, hidden currency.
Yeah, this guy. So, Oh
my gosh.
Are you concerned yet? Just, I know you've done work.
Currency.
Blockchain stuff in real life, and
I'm not surprised, but again, I don't know, man. Whatever. I'm just gonna live off grid and trade in rabbit pelts.
Sure.
You know what? If rabbit pelts become the currency, that's my new thing. So if anybody wants to get in on rabbit coin, it's a new kind of cryptocurrency, in that it's an actual rabbit, and we just trade literal alive rabbits. And
it'll come with the QR code on its forehead or right paw. Do they have paws? What do rabbits have?
Mark of the rabbit. My goodness. Okay, so what's the deal? Keep going.
Okay,
here.
well, this is just to bring you off the ledge there a little bit. Here's Mr. Emmer making some sense about the whole thing.
Mr. Ray, I appreciate you mentioning your concerns in the beginning of my questioning about the concentration of power in a small group of individuals with no oversight. That is the exact problem that open and permissionless technology like crypto and blockchain solve. It solves for the problems of centralization. You stated in your testimony that you've never seen such a, quote, utter failure of corporate controls at every level of an organization, from the lack of financial statements to a complete failure of any internal controls or governance whatsoever, close quote. FTX had disastrous or even non-existent systems for accounting, audit, cash management, cybersecurity, human resources, risk management, and other unacceptable management practices that currently make your job to uncover the facts quite difficult. Fortunately, the immutable characteristics of public blockchains that some people would care not to understand in this committee allowed the crypto community to reveal Sam Bankman-Fried's fraud, and the on-chain public record will assist law enforcement moving forward. I encourage my colleagues to understand Sam Bankman-Fried's con for what it is: a failure of centralization, a failure of business ethics, and a crime. It is not a failure of technology. I've worked across the aisle since I came to Congress, so the future of crypto reflects American values, the same way the internet does today. For the most engaged members of Congress on crypto policy, the FTX collapse reminds us of why we care so deeply about this technology. Decentralization is the point.
There you go. You feeling a little better?
Hey, yeah, somebody gets it.
At least he's educated on the conversation. You know, he can at least speak to it without sounding like he has absolutely no idea. And I actually looked up Tom Emmer's, he had a press release from last year, which has this legislation, which is provide clarity for blockchain innovators. And he basically says here, certain blockchain developers and service providers like miners and multi-signature service providers should not have to register as money transmitters because, simply put, they never custody customer funds, which is a fact. For the future of blockchain, DeFi, that's decentralized finance, and America's support for innovation and emerging technologies, it's imperative that we provide the framework for this technology to thrive without being limited by outdated rules and over-regulation. And this is, the U.S. is already kind of behind in the world of crypto and blockchain and doing all that, but it's because it's kind of a two-sided thing. You know, there is a negative totalitarian kind of version of all the blockchain stuff. So it's not that it's all good and great, but you know, the Bahamian conversation with FTX, that could bring about some kind of international regulation, especially if you're the U.S. and you want to like this, you know, like Emmer wants, he wants American values to define how crypto is done around the world. Right now, it's just a mishmash of clashes of different everything. You know, there's not much clarity on anything. And so this type of fall from grace of SBF and FTX and people losing a bunch of money and life savings and everything else is probably going to bring about regulation. And what that regulation is, we'll have to see. But that's part of how all this is becoming political. It is political now. I mean, it's gotten to the point where your votes are going to determine how we interact with this. And, you know, in recent days, I think there was a story out about how USDC, the stable coin, US dollar stable coin issued by a company called Circle, is getting some favors with the Fed. So the US might not do like a CBDC in the traditional sense, but more of, hey, we're going to use a private company to issue the currency and control it that way. And I think it's entirely possible because of the U.S. government basically taking over the Ethereum blockchain, which was the original blockchain that backs, or, you know, the USDC was built on. So we'll have to see how that all unfolds. We're going to see CBDCs all over the world. We're already seeing it. China was trying to talk with the Saudis to use their digital yuan and stuff to buy oil, and it's all happening. So who knows? Cash is still king, I suppose, but things are changing.
For now.
Maybe Doggy Coin on Twitter will become just the whole ecosystem for Elon's X, because, you know, Elon wants to make X a thing. You know, he wants to fulfill that vision he had of a payment system, a payment and everything system. So, speaking of Elon.
You are already sort of a cybernetic symbiote. Neural nets are taking over from regular programming. So you are connected.
Yeah, we're also going to get, you got a Fauci jingle handy somewhere?
Yeah.
Science is truth. You do not know what you are talking about. Vader.
Okay, so as we follow the Twitter files and the Elon saga, my dear old friend, The Atlantic, came out with an incredible article that I'd like to bring to you today. They are good at that. You know, I've sort of, as we know, have gotten periodically obsessed with them because they're this very strange outlet where they're not quite as mainstream as like a New York Times or a CNN or like one of the big, you know, super liberal outlets. But they've kind of got this vibe of like cool punk rock, underground. I don't know. They're just, you know, they've got a cooler vibe to them. And I think because of that, I identified this a while back that they're a bit more like a social engineering project than they are anything else, and they have an unusual sway, maybe not on the Democratic Party of today or the liberal politics of today, but they always have a sort of outsized effect on what the conversation becomes, in the next weeks or months. And this was a very interesting one. Here's the thing. I'm not going to read it. I'm going to summarize it for you.
Uh-oh, we lost you.
Annoying to read.
We lost you for a second. You said you're not going to read the whole thing.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I'm not going to read it. It's I don't know. It's just not important for the conversation we're going to have here. But remember, it is in your show notes, everybody. It's in your email box. Go read it. The headline is Elon Musk is a far-right activist.
Oh,
and that's just it.
Okay.
Elon Musk is a far-right activist. Now, I told you a funny story, Gons, but I was talking to some normal, young adult Democrats. Mm-hmm. They're actually registered Democrats. And I brought up this article. I'm like, oh, did you see? Elon Musk is a far-right activist. And they looked at me with a puzzled face, as I was expecting, as I always expect when I talk to people like this.
You're that friend.
Yeah, I'm that friend. And I said, did you hear at The Atlantic, they say Elon Musk is a far-right activist. And they look at me and they kind of squint and they're kind of like, I don't get it. I'm like, what do you mean? What don't you get? Like, why would they besmirch the word activist? Like, I thought activist was a good thing. I was like, what do you mean? Like, I didn't know there were far right activists. I didn't know that like somebody on the right could even be an activist. It's like, oh my gosh,
this person must be younger.
Yeah, a little bit younger, but not too young. Not the young.
Really?
Not young. This is an adult person.
Well, I'm sure adult. Yes, like I would say 20s, in their 20s.
Extremely late 20s.
Okay.
They were
right.
20, 29, 30, something like that. But that's the point. I mean, that is 30-year-olds are kind of the like, that's when you start actually having an effect on the world, kind of. You've had a chance to be in a career for 10 years or something. You're, a lot of the influential people in our culture are in their 30s. Anywho, the point is, they didn't even have a reference point for the right to even have any sort of activism. Now, then I explained, I'm like, well, what do you think, abortion protesters are? What do you think, what do you think?
But it's so strange to me that the idea of activism only comes in the form of liberal left.
Right. And here's the key. Here's the key that unlocked it for me. I go, what do you think about abortion protesters? Those are right activists. What do you think about drag queen protesting?
No, they're terrorists.
Those are right activists. And yes, when I said, what do you think about the protesters on January 6th? And that's when it clicked for both of us. They don't see right activism as even extant, because whenever people on the right are doing activism, they are terrorists.
Oh, I was right. Hey.
They are labeled terrorists.
Yeah.
So this phrase, far right activist, really just means to the sort of, these people weren't necessarily super engaged. They're not like us. They're not actually reading articles every day.
Sure, yeah.
They're more like, whatever their iPhone pops up and sends them a notification with the latest, headline.
Well, especially iPhone, because The Atlantic is owned by
that's right,
the Jobs' wife.
Jobs' widow.
Sure.
Widow. Yeah, so
Lauren Powell jobs.
That was an interesting insight. Now, of course, we probably could have got there eventually, but to have a firsthand experience with people not even understanding that there could be right activism, that's just called domestic terror.
So crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, it's
so
amazing. Yeah.
We got the Elon Musk is a far right activist. Now, the reason, I'll just read just a second here just to get us to the tweet. If there's one tweet that will tell you everything you need to know about Elon Musk, it's this one from early this morning. And it's the tweet where he tweeted, my pronouns are prosecute/Fauci. Okay?
Yeah.
Hey, it's a funny joke, especially if you're Elon Musk.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to get now
you're going to trigger Lauren Powell.
Whoever.
jobs.
Look at the like count on this tweet.
Yeah, 1.2 million. Woo.
I have never seen, I'm sure they exist, but I have never seen a tweet that had 1.2 million likes on it. I mean, that is incredible amount of online attention.
Yeah, he does own the platform.
I hear you, but I'm just saying that's a lot of people seeing the tweet. That's a lot of people liking the tweet. You know, obviously people agree with them. And here's the point. The point is, I was again talking to these same people, and I was telling them like, yeah, they're calling him a far right activist because of this tweet. He said, my pronouns are prosecute Fauci, and it didn't even occur to them that like the pronouns bit of it was like could be an insensitive joke or something. And remember, they're just like normal everyday Democrats. They're not they're not far leftists. They're not anything. They're not very engaged Democrats who just do what Democrats tell them.
Right.
But even they were like, I don't see what's wrong with that. Fauci should be prosecuted.
Ooh.
Like he lied. Like he blah 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 blah. Like so what that first told me was the idea that Fauci is not that great of a guy is so widely understood now that like even regular old Democrats like know this. They might not be like angry about it. They might not be fired up about it. Maybe they justify it and like, yeah, well, it's a tough job and he is a politician, you know, blah 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 blah. But they were totally on board with like, yeah, he seems like he needs to answer for his crimes.
Oh, he's like, Elon is cruel, according to this article.
Oh yeah, that's why I'm not going to read it, because they mostly go into like how mean the tweet was,
so
because he's making fun of non-binary people or whatever, and it's just not profitable. But the more interesting part is sort of what I realized through this. We've seen in the past the Atlantic sort of spark off these huge conversations, notably recently the let's declare pandemic amnesty.
Mm-hmm.
Remember this one?
Yeah.
And that this was everywhere. Every podcast was talking about it. Everybody was talking. It was a whole big thing. And so I can imagine that this idea of Elon becoming a far right activist, aka terrorist, because of wanting to prosecute Fauci, is a big conversation now. And this is something the Democrat Party is so good at. They did it with vaccination, calling unvaxxed people dirty dogs and need to be put in camps and all this kind of stuff. Remember, a lot of Democrats are kind of crunchy hippies who are anti-vax, but they're Democrats. And so in that case, the Democrats pushed a lot of those crunchy hippies to the center, and some of them all the way to the right. This is part of the major shift we're seeing in the representation of the two parties. And I think this is one of them, because there is a large contingent of regular Democrats who wouldn't disagree that Fauci needs to answer for his behavior. And the Atlantic, notable, influencing force in the mindset of liberals, is coming out and saying, hey, if you think, it's not about Elon. What they're saying is, if you think that Fauci has some questions that need to be answered, if you think Fauci deserves to be held accountable, or if you think that a public servant should be required to answer for lying for years and then lying about the lying and then profiting from the lying, profiteering from the death and destruction of the pandemic. If you believe that, which a lot of Democrats would say, yes, I think government officials should be held accountable. Well, if you think that, then you're a far right activist. And it's once again going to, drive a hot butter knife straight down the Democratic Party. And it's going to cause a lot of people to swing to the right again. And we've been seeing this swing back to the right extremely fast. I mean, it's basically started at the end of 2021 and has almost fully, there's a ways to go. I think this shows me that there's a long way to go. There's going to be a lot more people, a lot more influence pushing people to the right as a response of the past few years. And I think if you call someone a terrorist for thinking that politicians should be held accountable for their behavior while in office, you're going to get a lot more people identifying as terrorists. And that's pretty much that. I mean, I could go in and read the article, but it's worth a read. It's just, all things considered today, I'm not going to go ahead and do it. But yeah, I would say, if a lot, like me, I just happen to have friends who are not so politically engaged, but who just identify as Democrat just because that's the cool thing to identify as. And it's really interesting checking in with these people and, kind of illuminating them to their own party and the messages that it has about them. And you can really see people are sort of naturally drifting to the right, and then the Democrat Party comes up behind them and gives them a big Spartan kick in the butt. and then they just full on identify as far right activists. Very interesting shift to see.
Yeah, well, the memo went out for sure about the Elon sentiment, because Wired.com also had an article similar in vein, the Trumpification of Elon Musk, which I'm sure in the mainstream, they're looking at Elon like dollar signs in their eyes. Like, hey, we have another Trump here, and we can make all the money that we did with the same kind of Trump outrage, right? I'm not going to read this article either because it's a little bit longer. There's a couple highlights that I have here. So this author is talking about the way coverage with Trump worked, how there was egomania going on and blah, blah, blah. The sentence here that summarizes some of this: the losers, meaning, the right, left, and the media and the people, the losers were the public, whose understanding of what was actually happening across the country was forced through incompatible narratives around the behavior of one unhinged man in the White House. And this is what's happening with Musk and Twitter. And then they quote Connor Friedersdorf in The Atlantic. I don't think it's the Atlantic article you had, because that was written by a different author. But he quotes The Atlantic, which shows, where the memos.
That's what I'm saying,
from.
man. Yeah.
Quote, dysfunctional relationships between Twitter's new owner and so many of the journalists who cover him, where the least defensible statements and claims on all sides are relentlessly amplified in a never-ending cycle that predictably fuels disdain and negative polarization. Friedersdorf goes on to argue that Musk's journalistic critics should give him more benefit of the doubt. After all, he did ban Kanye West. He refused to reinstate Alex Jones. He's right that Twitter helped suppress a story about Hunter Biden's laptop. What? Wired? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
That later turned out to be at least partially true, and maybe his idea of amnesty or suspended accounts is not such a bad way to reset the clock and rebuild overall trust in the platform. Maybe. But I think that strays toward both sidism and misses the point. Oh, so close.
Wow.
I have to bring out both sidesism.
Yeah.
My God, I just can't get away from it, which is why I think they're
Which is
looking at
hilarious
this as
that's a bad word now. it's morally and ethically improper to consider that both sides of an issue like have a viewpoint that could be understood.
I think these two sentences summarize the I don't know, the brain aneurysms in the metaphorical sense that some of these people are having. The point isn't that Musk may not be as terrible as you think. Period. He is definitely pretty terrible. Period. Just as Trump was unequivocally unfit to be president, yada, 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 Musk is unequivocally cruel, vindictive, heartless, troll who amplifies extremists. See what I'm saying? This is is literally the baton being passed to Elon.
No wonder they have, problems with empathy and subtlety and things like this. Their entire moral system is based off of just being as brutal as you can to whoever you don't like.
Yeah. And it's getting very fascinating because as everyone moves to the right and they're getting a kick, not just from the Democratic Party, but they have this new magnet of Elon. Everyone's, Elon's restoring free speech on Twitter, da-da-da-da-da. Well, I saw this tweet by Tim Pool. Tim Pool, very, I guess he claims to be sort of a centrist, but he's more leaning conservative, right wing. He tweeted this out, and he's maybe being a little tongue in cheek, but also I think the psyop is working. He says, "I used to think Neuralink was scary and dangerous, but then Elon Musk bought Twitter and agreed with me ideologically. So now I think Neuralink is great and want to have my brain plugged into the machine."
Oh,
and you think maybe he's he's being a little cheeky. And then he responded to himself here. "I love how people try to find deeper meaning in poop posts. Neuralink is awesome. I'm excited to see what it can do to save lives. Neurological disease, nerve damage, etc. can be treated with it. We'll see how it goes with one-to-one human-computer interfacing, but that's very far off," which I don't think it is, per se.
Right.
But, I think this sentiment, although he is being a little tongue-in-cheek, this is the direction it's moving, especially with a guy like Elon in charge. And I actually made a video in 2019 talking about this title or this label, Techno-conservatism, where it's a very conservative movement, but they're all for sort of a technocratic way to do things, a technocratic way to implement the principles of conservatism, or the Bill of Rights or the Constitution, which ironically enough, or maybe not so ironically, was what earlier the Emmer, the legislator who we quoted earlier, who was making sense about the blockchain and crypto conversation. That's what he was talking about. Innovation, blockchain, the transparency, It's going to move us forward. It's sort of a conservative approach to using this technology. So I think it's very fascinating that there's a sentiment change even in the concept of, Neuralink is sort of a dystopian brain or microchip in the brain type of thing. But hey, as long as we're trying to save people and a guy like Elon's in charge, I might consider it,
Well, it is an interesting view of the options for like truther type of stuff. Because Tim Pool, extraordinarily popular, free thinker or something. Maybe the most popular under Joe Rogan or something.
Sure, yeah. He's got almost 40,000 likes on this tweet. So
he's enormous. Yeah. And to see how he can be in the same lane politically and deep statedly and whatever, I don't know, all the sort of versions of the sort of fringy conversations can be. He's obviously sort of in tune with a lot of it, but to be totally, absolutely missing the boat on transhumanism and the transhuman utopic future that really, when you come down to it, is driving almost everything, is really wild. Like, I don't know, to be a truther person and to be missing the technocratic part of it altogether, or even worse, to be in support of the technocratic utopic vision, it almost like it's almost so bad that it would be better to not have them around. I mean, look, I don't.
Let's go ahead and control alt delete Tim Pool from existence.
Look, I'm not trying to I don't know, be mean or something.
I understand what you're saying.
The only thing, I've only heard him once. I think he was on, I don't know, Joe Rogan or something. He was a guest on somebody else's podcast, and I heard him then and haven't really. I thought he had a lot of really interesting things to say. I could see why he's so popular, but it almost doesn't matter how much light you're shining on other topics. If you are pro technocratic utopic, future, what's the point? What are you protecting against? What are you immunizing people from if you're pro the technocracy? That is almost the entire point of the sort of free thinking movement. Because if you miss, you could see everything else. But if you're pro smart cities, surveillance state, Neuralink, hive mind, then it's oh, okay, well, you're just in favor.
We stand for the Constitution, but with robot arms.
Yeah,
controlled by your brain.
Not trying to start beef. I just think it's a huge opportunity for the technocrats to grasp onto the truther community.
Popular culture too, yeah.
Which is also, that is the critique of Elon. That's the problem with liking Elon too much as a free-thinking person. It's be careful, because he wants to put a chip in your brain, man.
Yeah, I know. He wants robots to do all the stuff at home. He's literally the technocratic guy. So, hey, the PSYOP is working.
PSYOPs. That's right.
And, yeah.
We should probably thank some producers.
Yeah, we should definitely party. Go to canarycry.party. Put it in your URL. You will find a tree of links that will lead you to everything from where to listen to the show, watch the show, how to produce the show, and how to connect with us and the community.
That's right, canarycry.party. Go check it out, baby. Lots of good stuff there. And I'm just going to jump into thanking some producers.
It's break time! Come on, take a break.
That's right. We're on the value for value model, which means we take no corporate money whatsoever. We are entirely funded by people who get value out of the show. It's not just, I don't know what it isn't, but I know what it is, and that's a revolution in economics, the very concept of economics. If something is bringing value to your life and you want it to continue, participate in its creation, because it's either that or the corporations come in with their money, support it for you, and then your brain becomes a product that gets bought and sold a dozen times over. So if you are into not having your consciousness monetized by lizard people, the value for value model is for you. And that's why we think our producers are people who made that decision either with their time, talent, or treasure to keep the show going. And it's the only way that we do it. We thanked our executive producer, Kevin M., earlier on in the show. Yeah. And I do want to thank, we did have one more executive producer join the team. Yes, during the show. So I want to thank executive producer Leslie B.
Leslie, thank you for coming in as an executive today.
That's right. And Leslie B comes in with a nice round number, which means we won't disclose it for you. But we thank you very much. No note from Leslie B either. So,
Leslie B.
Where'd you find this?
We also have a supply drop producer that came in, and we want to thank them. That's right. The Canary Cry supply drop is out. They are arriving as we speak all around the country, perhaps even the world. And that is our very special program we started this year. It has brought so much assistance to the show and has gotten our supply drop producers a bunch of cool stuff. That's right. If you like the show, you want to keep the show going, support it for $33.33 a month. Just sign up at canarycrysupply.com, and 4 times a year, you'll get a box filled with custom-created, producer-produced, artist-designed, made in America Canary Cry News Talk gear. And yes, we're very excited. The Canary Cry calendars are in the mail. The T-shirts are in the mail. It's all coming, folks. So if you're a supply dropper, keep an eye out for that package. And we have a new supply dropper just signed up, and their name is Gary H.
Gary H. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Gary H. Okay, now we have regular producers to thank.
Mm-hmm.
We have one of them. Their name is Sir LX Protocol V2, Knight of the Berean Protocol. Comes in with a pocket full of 7s and a big day because this is Sir LX Protocol's 111th episode in a row.
Quicker. Oh yeah! Thank you so much. One. Triple ones. One.
Triple ones.
Triple ones.
Triple ones. Thank you very much, Sir LX Protocol, Knight of the Berean Protocol.
Thank you.
Making it happen for 111 episodes in a row.
Yeah. Good stuff.
And that concludes our list of producers who came in the amount of 777 or more. We do have a few more to thank here, which we're very grateful for. Our streakers. Are you ready to thank them?
Ready.
Okay. Dame Gale, Canary Whisperer, Lady of X's and O's.
Thank you, Dame Gale.
206 in a row. We got Runk Smash, 25 episodes in a row.
Runk Smash. Thank you.
Darren, Night of the Hungry Pandas, 82 episodes in a row.
Sir Darren, thank you.
Dr. Who Done That, 8 episodes in a row.
Doctor Who Done That, thank you. Wow,
Sir
back at 8 already, huh? That's quick.
It's back at 8 already, I know. Sir Casey the Shield Knight, 242 in a row.
Thank you, Sir Casey.
Veronica D, 206 in a row.
Thank you, Veronica D.
And Sir Scott, Knight of Truth, 231 episodes in a row.
Thank you, Sir Scott. Thank you to all the people coming in under 777. And we got some jingles for you guys.
Quicker. Oh yeah! Thank you so much.
Oh yeah, Streakalicious.
Women rule.
There you go.
That's right. All right. Well, if remember, folks, it's the only way the show can continue in its current form is with the participation of our producers. If it's been a while since you produced, or if maybe you haven't produced all year, this is a great time to get in. The stars must have aligned or something, Gons, this Wednesday, or maybe it's just on theme for the slow destruction of the show, and it's the computers that keep it going.
Yeah.
That's always possible. But anywho, if you get value out of the show, if it brings anything to your life, consider it. Consider what that value is. Put a number on it. You can put any number you want on it. It's a pretty free flow process. And go to canarycryradio.com/support.
canarycryradio.com/support.
And while you're there, you'll see all sorts of options. But consider signing up for the supply drop or whatever does it for you. And to the rest of you, thank you for your patronage.
Shut up and take my money. Thank you for your patronage. Thank you for your patronage. Thank you for your patronage.
Yes, it's wake up time.
Hey, yo, wake up.
It's Corona time. COVID-19. 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 Coronavirus!
Vaccine, number one way.
Number one way is the vaccines. Oh, and it gets political too, because Politico.com here has an article. DeSantis calls for grand jury to investigate COVID-19 vaccines. Ooh, DeSantis, what are you doing, buddy? What are you doing? You got some opinions about what's going on here? Tallahassee,
Getting froggy.
Florida. Yeah, froggy. Governor Ron DeSantis on Tuesday asked the Florida Supreme Court to impanel a grand jury to investigate quote-unquote wrongdoing linked to the COVID-19 vaccines, including spreading false and misleading claims about the efficacy of the doses. Interesting. You know, it's already interesting that they would print on behalf of Ron DeSantis this idea of spreading false and misleading claims and not have it be about anti-vaccines or something like that. You know what I mean? Usually when they say, oh, it's false, misleading information or claims, it's accusatory, but this time it's supportive of the skepticism of the main narrative. Interesting. Most of the medical community, including the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the FDA, and Johns Hopkins, all the institutions that have been highly criticized, have emphasized that the COVID vaccine is safe and effective in preventing the virus and protecting against serious symptoms. Okay. But DeSantis said during a live-streamed roundtable discussion with Florida Surgeon General Joseph Ladapo that it's against Florida law to mislead the public, especially when it comes to drug safety. He sought to undermine the efficacy of the COVID vaccine and claimed that vaccine manufacturers such as Moderna have made a fortune on COVID-19 mandates. Quote, I think people want the truth and I think people want accountability, end quote, DeSantis said. Quote, you need to have a thorough investigation into what's happened with the shots. In a petition to the state Supreme Court asking for the grand jury, the DeSantis administration said that the pharmaceutical industry has a notorious history of misleading the public for financial gain, and the grand jury will probe, quote, the development, promotion, and distribution of vaccines purported to prevent COVID-19 infection, symptoms, and transmission, end quote. DeSantis' announcement was the latest in an ongoing war between his administration and the Biden administration and the broader medical community over the pandemic. I don't know. That characterization, right now, as we speak, we are having sort of a renaissance in medicine. And yeah, you can say that the whole Twitter undoing of some of the banned doctors, medical practitioners, and whatnot is part of it too. But the way science is done, is under heavy scrutiny post-COVID. And, perhaps it was meant to be that way, but I think it's interesting. This idea that there's a war, not just with the Biden administration, but a broader medical community, or the broader medical community. DeSantis has built a national reputation fighting against COVID-related mandates such as vaccine requirements or schools ordering students to wear masks. The Biden administration did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Along with his Surgeon General, DeSantis has rejected vaccines for young children even after the FDA gave approval for the vaccines in kids under 5. Florida was the only state in the nation to not reorder vaccines for children ahead of the FDA's fast-tracked approval. In response to DeSantis, Sharon J. Castillo, a Pfizer spokesperson, wrote in an email that Pfizer's vaccines has been approved by regulatory agencies across the world. Quote, the authorizations are based on robust and independent evaluation of the scientific data in quality, safety, and efficacy, including our landmark phase 3 clinical trial, Castillo wrote. Quote, data from real-world studies complement the clinical trial data and provide additional evidence that the vaccines provide effective protection against severe disease. It's just a lot, but more word soup salad and tiptoeing around, real statements. Just effective protection against severe disease is very leaves room
we're still
for
on YouTube there, partner.
Was that?
Remember, we're still on YouTube there.
Oh yeah,
partner.
Susan. FDA is the champion. Officials with Moderna did not immediately respond. Okay, so What do you think, Basil? Is this going to go anywhere? Is this DeSantis's?
I don't think I even really understand what he's doing.
He's trying. So he's called for a grand jury to investigate the issue. Is pretty much it. It's not really doing much else than that. So I don't know. It feels like this is DeSantis. You know, he is probably going to run in 24. Correct? The way things are looking. So if that's the case, then
you think so?
I don't know. It looks like he's moving in that direction.
Yeah, but he's not going to run against Trump.
I don't know, man. It's unclear to me. I don't follow it close enough to really have like an informed opinion about all this, but
yeah, he's playing with the idea. I don't think we can take for granted if he's going to run or not, though.
Yeah. So if that is the case, then getting on the side of the vaccine skepticism would serve his purpose to appeal to that crowd, I guess. It's sort of the...
Yeah, I mean, he's always been on that side, though. He's
sure.
That's sort of like his thing. That's why people love him so much.
Right,
because
right,
he's...
sure.
Yeah.
But is it going to be enough? Is it... I don't know. It's just one of those things
I'm sorry, I missed it. He's just saying stuff? He's calling for an investigation? Is that what it was?
Yes. He's asking for a... Let's see, let me get the exact words here. In a petition to the state Supreme Court asking for the grand jury, the DeSantis administration said...
the state grand jury.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the pharmaceutical industry, yada, yada. So, and they want a grand jury probe into all this. And
well, that would be interesting if there was a grand jury probe.
It would kind of... I think he's trying to do sort of a Twitter Files COVID version for Florida or something, you know? That's kind of the move, I think. So... It'll be interesting to watch if he actually does it. And, do you think he would go for some kind of a vice presidential role if he was asked by maybe Trump, Trump's going?
It's kind of what it's looking like. I mean, there's a lot of thoughts about it. It is still a total toss-up whether this is the thing. The primaries would go to DeSantis or Trump. It almost certainly would go to Trump. Trump would have to... Yeah, I think it's suicide to try to win against Trump in a primary.
Right.
But
we'll see.
He might. I mean, as a running mate, he might ask him.
Well, because here's the thing. Trump was the vaccine guy at the end of his term. Remember, he was the guy that was really kind of pushing it with warp speed and all that, right?
It's one of their main disagreements with each other.
Right. So that's the thing that might make this maybe DeSantis is testing the waters. Maybe if this move here is big enough, he'll just ride it and say, down with Trump, or maybe Trump can be vice president.
Yeah, I think that is the one thing that could separate DeSantis and put him ahead of Trump in a Republican primary. Because what it is DeSantis is needing to scoop up a bunch of the MAGA people, which he's done a really good job of. He's almost more MAGA than Trump is himself.
Or especially when it comes to the COVID issue, it seems like he's championed that quite a bit.
Yeah, and there's a couple other things, but I think that's the main thing. So, a move like this could sort of set him up to be a more attractive presidential candidate than Trump, in which, they're already discussing how Trump is not very attractive, even to the Republican establishment, So it's possible. I mean, if something did come of this, if, a probe did go through, and I don't know, it wouldn't even need to show the worst parts of it, but even actually following through with this would give him quite a significant bump.
Yeah. Well, there's some other stories out there that I think are worth touching. And this first one is from CNN, and the headline here is sports reporter Grant Wall died of a ruptured aortic aneurysm at World Cup, his wife says. And of course,
this is the fella. This is the guy who got kicked out of the soccer stadium for wearing a pro-gay shirt.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah, you know this guy?
I heard about
this was his. This is why everybody knows who he is. Now, I'm not a sports reporter. Now, a lot of people know who he is because he's a sports guy. I didn't know who he was. But it was a big story a couple weeks ago during the World Cup where he, it's in Qatar, and he wore a, rainbow soccer shirt, pro LGBTQ soccer shirt, which has been a big social rigmarole when it comes to Qatar, because they don't like that sort of thing. And he walks into the soccer stadium and then gets stopped by the cops, and they search him. I think they detained him for a while, took his phone. It was like a whole thing. And then this happens. He dies, still there, by an aortic aneurysm.
Yeah. Well, there's only one sentence about the whole LGBT rights thing. In this article, it's at the very end. The wife is reminiscing about his social justice. But what's interesting is in this article, I believe the wife says that it was like a long-term battle. Let me see here. Let me try to find the...
Yeah, this is Grant Wall, the American soccer reporter who collapsed and died while covering the World Cup in Qatar last week, died of an aortic aneurysm that ruptured. His wife, Dr. Celine Grounder, said Wednesday, quote, "It's just one of these things that had been likely brewing for years, and for whatever reason, it happened at this point in time," Grounder said on CBS Mornings. In a longer statement, Grounder said an autopsy performed in the New York City Medical Examiner's office determined he died from, quote, "the rupture of a slowly growing, undetected ascendic aortic aneurysm with hemopericardium." It's a lot of words. Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a big thing. There's a lot of conspiracy theories swirling around that, would the Qatarian government have killed him for making such a big, PR kerfuffle about getting kicked out for wearing a shirt, But his wife is pretty, it's almost now, she is a doctor, so maybe that's just how she, she is. It is kind of a cold, calculated script that she's reading there. It's like, it's just one of those things. Probably wouldn't have known it, been going for years, whatever reason, just happened. For whatever reason, it happened there. And then definitely not hoping that a Qatarian, assassin has put a bomb in my car or something.
Yeah, well, maybe it didn't have to be that way, because there is an quote unquote indie documentary that's gotten millions of views recently about people dying suddenly. I don't know much about it. People have talked about this thing, and it has to do with the heart too. So I'm not saying that there's a connection, Susan, just throwing that out there. But also, athlonsports.com headline: former UCF football player dies suddenly at 25 years old. Yeah, University of Central Florida student and football player Jack Hescock died Tuesday. Former tight end went into cardiac arrest while out on a jog in Boston, according to his family. He was 25 years old. And
totally normal. It's been happening forever, okay? Don't ask questions.
But also, I'm wondering, because Athlon Sports is a subsidiary of Sports Illustrated, so it's not just some random sports rag. It's like an actual corporate arm. And the fact that they use the phrase "dies suddenly" in the headline, I am convinced that this is an SEO play to get those clicks, because it makes me wonder, like, why would they even say that? Why CNN carrying this other story? Well, this is a huge story with the Grant Wall situation. But I don't know. It just seems like they are both trying to tell the story, but also get the clicks from the anti-vax or vax skeptic community.
Oh yeah, you can instantly up your view count on the article by putting "dies suddenly" in there now, because not only will you get the UCF football fans reading it, but you'll also get 10 million conspiracy theorists clicking in.
Right.
Reading it,
yeah, just a very interesting phenomena here with some of these media outlets. And then in terms of the vaccine, Basil, another topic that we've, I think I made a prediction in a Red Book somewhere at some point about cancer. This is Wall Street Journal. What is happening in this house? There's a dog. There's all kinds of stuff happening. Moderna's mRNA cancer vaccine shows promise in preliminary study. shot combined with Merck immunotherapy reduced risk for relapse in people with skin cancer in study. And we always kind of thought that this was the direction, right? To use this mRNA technology to cure everything, including cancer.
Yeah. No, cancer was a big one. Yeah. And I think you're right. I think you had put that in there recently, or at least within the past year or so.
Yeah.
The mRNA cancer vaccine.
Yeah. We'll see if it actually comes to anything. But cancer seems to be one of the big, pharmacia industrial complex psyops, like a long play. Like we put the poison in the food, in the water, and then they get obese, and then they have bad health, and then we have a pandemic, and it's just everything. Cancer, especially because it's been such a horrific thing for the West and Americans in general. And I don't know, it comes from our food, it comes from all kinds of our lifestyle and things like that. So that's all interconnected, I think, with the overall lizard people agenda.
Yeah, it's interesting. Unravel, we just interviewed a couple weeks ago a fella, he's a Christian fellow who does cancer research, and we learned a whole lot about that stuff. You can go check it out. It was with Berkeley Grider over there on Ravel. Learned a lot of stuff, Gons, a lot of sciencey things.
Hey, you like sciencey things.
I say, gotta always something to learn. Okay, hit that Afrofuturism jingle, baby.
What shall we do?
There's some. We got a clip here. There's some big news. It was trending everywhere, headlines everywhere. The U.S., they're going to be taking care of Africa, baby. I think we even got a clip, Gons.
Yes, we do.
The United States will commit $55 billion to Africa over the next 3 years, a White House official has said. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan was speaking ahead of a U.S.-Africa Leaders Summit. Sullivan said the funds would be deployed across a wide range of sectors to tackle the core challenges of our time.
We are bringing the resources to the table in significant numbers. And if you compare what the United States is committing over the next 3 years to what any other country is committing,
China.
I think we stack up extremely favorably.
China.
President Joe Biden is hosting dozens of African leaders in Washington, D.C. He's expected to announce support for the African Union to join the G20 and for a permanent member from the continent on the United Nations Security Council.
The president will close the business forum on Wednesday with public remarks. Later in the day, he will host a small group of leaders at the White House for a discussion on upcoming presidential elections in 2023 in Africa and U.S. support for free, fair, and credible polls across the continent.
Oh, the U.S. is going to help Africa make sure they have legit elections, Basil. What do you think about that?
Wow, that's pretty impressive. Wow. Yeah, this is interesting. Of course, in the Afrofuturism thing, we've been following many aspects of the attention and otherwise being given to Africa. Of course, there's a struggle. There's like a wrestling match of Africa has been identified as the future of technology, the future of resource management, the future of everything. And there's been a lot of courting going on. Of course, we've talked about China's courting of Africa, which looks a little bit different. Theirs kind of looks like traditional colonization.
Yeah,
they've been sort of
they're doing it old school throwback.
Yeah, buying up resources, marrying into important families. They've been, there's like entire cities in Africa entirely populated by Chinese managers, basically, and they use that to, of course, bring wealth and bring prosperity and all these things, but is largely resulted in China gaining a lot of control over the value that Africa offers the world. And we've been wondering, we've seen some things here and there, but we've been wondering when the West was really going to step up their game. I mean, and some of this even has devolved into very frank public conversations from, UN politicians and African diplomats. Basically, the African diplomats being like, "Come on, what's your deal? Make an offer, baby. It's like, tell us what you got, because these Chinese are looking pretty good right now." And here we go. I got this Reuters report here. U.S. says to commit $55 billion to Africa ahead of summit. The United States will commit $55 billion to Africa over the next 3 years as President Joe Biden prepares to host the U.S.-Africa summit this week and discuss 2023 elections and democracy in the continent with a small group of leaders. White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan said the United States is bringing, quote, resources to the table during the summit.
The equipment to mine all of the vibranium.
Money.
We'll just get a cut of that vibranium there, and we'll help you build your invisible Wakanda.
Well, I think the timing is really interesting because Wakanda 2, Wakanda Forever, was precisely revolved around Western countries trying to get African resources. That's exactly what it was
laid
about.
out the playbook in the film.
Yeah. And the Africans were very protective of their vibranium. And there was even like at the beginning, the first scene is like a French SWAT team breaking into a Wakandan laboratory to try to steal some vibranium. And then it switches to the next scene, and it's like the UN Security Council meeting with the Queen of Wakanda, being like, "No, I'm sorry to hear that somebody tried to steal your vibranium. This is unacceptable." So the trickery from the West is sort of already communicated there. But it does kind of give it away in this article a bit. I mean, give it away. I mentioned these conversations are incredibly frank, even in public. Nobody is hesitant to say, yes, we are basically trying to make a better deal than China. We're trying to gain influence in Africa to combat the Chinese, moves. Now, the China's been doing it for 20 years. Is the difference, and we're apparently just starting now. Sullivan also said Biden will host a dinner on Wednesday night for about 50 African leaders and announce U.S. support for the African Union to join the group of 20 major economies. He will also push for a permanent member from the African continent to the United Nations Security Council. So it's not just... this is how you can see that it's like a deal they're making. This is a bid. It's not just, we'll just send you some money, man. We'll help you out. We'll send you $55 billion.
Right. Now, these leaders, the African leaders, are sort of gatekeepers to the resources. And
money. China has all the money in the world.
Yeah.
Money, if you just get into a bidding war with money, then you're just throwing money away, basically. But what China can't offer is, membership to the G20, influence. And that's what it's like with the, once you get to the elite levels here, the money isn't so much important. It's your influence. What doors can open for you? So joining the G20 would be a major, influence operation for the continent there. And also a big one, putting a permanent member on the United Nations Security Council, actually giving them a
Did they not know the history of the UN in Africa? Is that just not something they don't pay attention to?
They do. That's why I think it's such a big thing, because the UN security forces have just ravaged
Africa. Yeah, they just destroyed it.
It's been a huge problem. The UN coming in, which is a bunch of Westerners sending in the UN security forces. It's to tamper down, rebellions or tamper down civil wars, revolutions, these types of things. But of course, the actions of the UN security forces are always more concerned with the protecting the resources, protecting the interests of Western countries.
Yeah.
They're not there for Africa.
Yeah.
They're just there to protect Western assets. Biden has made trips to visit U.S. allies in Asia, Europe, and Middle East. Excuse me, my goodness. Since taking office, but has yet to visit Africa since becoming president. And the event will be his most comprehensive look at the complexities of the continent. Part of Biden's diplomatic efforts so far have focused on promoting Western democracies as counterweight to China. But U.S. officials have insisted the Africa summit was not all about discussing Beijing's influence in China, which
You mean Africa? Beijing's influence in Africa.
Yeah, sorry, Africa, which is a very clever way of saying that the Africa summit was all about
China,
Beijing's.
right? Yeah, this is like, we started the conversation on a personal note, like, hey, how's your family? So yeah, it wasn't all about discussing Beijing's influence in Africa,
exactly.
but pretty much that was the reason. We did have. You want to finish the article first, actually?
No, it's not really important. Just kind of just tells you who's going to be at the meeting.
Right. Looks like Biden had some things to say, because I think Biden he's right now meeting with these leaders, these African leaders in some kind of dinner thing right now, right? Mm-hmm. So as we speak, Joe, what do you have to say?
This is not about freedom or personal choice.
Oh.
There you go.
Yeah. Anything else, Joe?
Get vaccinated.
No, the same old, huh?
They don't want it. Included in the deal is a memorandum of understanding, an MOU, with Africa's continental free trade area countries to explore work on the next phases of the U.S.-African trade relationship. And there it is. I mean, that's the trade relationship.
Well,
we give you the seats, we give you the money, and then just sign here, okay? We gotta lock up some of these trade relationships, aka lithium, cobalt, all the natural resources.
Well, and China's Belt and Road, Africa they've been trying obviously to build their pathways of trade, from the east. So it is very interesting. It's almost like the untapped middle ground, the land of Africa, the West coming in and to try to strip its resources, and the East coming in to strip its resources. And also Antarctica. We got to keep an eye on Antarctica, which we'll get to in a moment. But anything else on the Afrofuturism front? I think we covered everything here.
Let's thank some producers.
Let's thank our producers who came in with their God-given talent.
Break.
This is break. Don't just consume the content, but become the content. Become the content. Take a break. All right, we're going to thank some producers who come in with their talent. Don't just consume the content. Help us build the community, or the culture behind the community here at Canary Cry News Talk, and become the content. All we ask is that you make whatever you're making about the show. We're going to start off with a speak pipe. We got a few messages here.
Please leave a message after the tone.
At the tone, please record your message.
Leave a message. Beep.
Message.
We throw the speak pipe under the talent section because oftentimes we get talented contributions, or contributions of talent, I guess, when it comes to the speak pipe. But sometimes they're just messages too. Go to canarycrynewstalk.com, look for a green tab on the right-hand side or the bottom. Click on it. It'll give you a pop-up window where you can record a message of up to 90 seconds and hit send. It allows us to listen to it, perhaps play it, or not. But today we're going to start off with G-Man. G-Man here has a message.
Hi, guys. I just wanted to thank you for all the work that you have done. I'm just saying hi from Scotland here. I was just wondering, Gons, is there a backup channel on Odyssey for you that used to be like where Face Like the Sun stuff was? There appears to be a distinct lack of video available in these uncertain times. Anyway, hi, God bless you all, and take care.
Oh, thanks very much, G-Man.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you very much, G-Man. Love it.
Scotland.
I've been to Scotland.
You have, huh? I have not.
Went to Glasgow and Edinburgh, and then went to Glencoe up in the Highlands. It's a beautiful place.
I only know about Glasgow from the Metal Fest they used to do there in the 80s. A big concert with thousands, probably hundreds of thousands of people. Yeah, in terms of the backup channel, if you go to facelikethesun.live, there is it's the backup of the YouTube channel before it was taken down. It doesn't have everything, but it does have several hundred of the videos. And yeah, just go to facelikethesun.live. It'll take you there. Just hit the content tab, and it should have a bunch of the video. And you can look. I think there's a search option. There's a few CCNT episodes in there too, which is part of the reason why the channel is taken down. But it goes back, years. You can see videos that were published, up to 7, 8, 9 years ago. So it's all there. facelikethesun.live. I do need to put the documentaries back in there. I think I got one. I got Age of Deceit back in there, but the other two I need to republish. So there you go. But thank you very much for the message, G-Man. And
indeed,
what's up to everyone in Scotland?
Mm-hmm.
All right. We also have a message here from The Sentinel.
What's up, Basil and Gons and Canary Cry family? It's The Sentinel. And I just wanted to give a shout out to Sea Monster. I know this guy left a review a couple episodes ago, and he has only been listening for a week, 2 weeks tops. Yet he still left a 5-star review. So shout out to Sea Monster.
Baby.
Good job, buddy. If you haven't left a review yet, Canarians, you need to, because it definitely helps the show out, as Basil is always telling us. And honestly, I think, Basil, Gons, I think it's time we hear from Gons' grumpy uncle again. We haven't heard from him in a while, and maybe people just need some good old critical, shaming motivation. So I think that's something we should do if you're up for it. And I also wanted to bring another kind of idea or proposal from another one of my friends who's started listening to the show. And they're a little bit confused about what all the terms are. What do you guys mean by magic? Right? Or some of the other ones. What are y'all's definitions? That really would help them understand y'all's analysis. I was thinking, what if we did like an Urban Dictionary style website or URL link or whatever, where people can go in and write definitions, and we could upvote, downvote it, so that you could reference that to be like, oh, this is what they mean by that. So that's just another idea. But anyways, let's hear from Gons' grumpy uncle, please.
Yeah, okay. I'll message.
Actually, what?
I'll message my grumpy uncle. I hear he wants to do push-ups.
Can't wait to hear from him. I've actually had some pretty extensive conversations with a couple of producers about putting together a wiki, a Canary Cry wiki. Yeah, which would be very cool. And there are some, fairly plug-and-play wiki services that we could pay for, which I think would be cool. We would just need people to actually participate and fill it out, and that would be that. But that's good. But thanks for bringing that to my attention again. I'll check in about that.
Yeah, it's a good idea, especially, you're right. We're pretty far down the rabbit hole. Sometimes we should probably leave some info so that when people come down the same rabbit trails, they know where they're going.
It really is. There is a tension. There's a tension we feel all the time, because it's like, if we get into something that maybe a new listener might not have all the context for, then you want to like get the basics out there, but then everybody who listens to every single show is just
repeating the same thing.
They can get annoyed at it and stuff like that. So it is a tough thing to do, but a wiki would be helpful.
Yep. Okay. Thank you very much, Sentinel. And I think Sentinel's got a microfiction in there too. Yeah, we got 4 microfictions today. We'll get to that in a second. One more message from Rochelle.
Happy Wednesday, Canarians.
So I had a chance to look at the news articles from Monday's show, and I have to say that baby pod piece was, well, terrifying. Anyway, it reminded me of this story I heard of the 144,000. So stay with me here. This was the Human Genome Project. They used something like 20 people, and they tried to find out a whole bunch of things, but one of them was like how many, I think the term is telomeres, humans have. It was something like that. And they came up with the number of 144,000, 72,000 in each of the helixes. So times 2 for a double helix is 144,000. Well, a triple helix, you add another 72,000, and that is 216,000. Now listen, guys, that number relates to the number 666. 600, 66. So if you multiply 600 times 60 times 6, you get 216,000, the triple helix. Interesting, at least. And also, there's this video of the Queen lighting up the Tree of Life, and there being an added helix to the Tree of Life, making us a triple helix being. Anyway, scary. Stay strong for Jesus.
You know, that's also interesting. She brings that up. That same Ravel episode with Dr. Berkeley Greider, we also talk about that from a guy who's in the biz.
Oops. What you are hearing is the triple helix video. But before I do that, the characterization of 20 sequenced human genomes, I have it here from the National Library of Medicine, the NIH official website. And in the abstract, yep, it says it right there, 144,000 new variants per genome. So there's that. And then I do have the video here. Let me mute it because I don't think the music is, I don't want to necessarily get a copyright strike. But yeah, so there's a video here. I don't even know when this is from, but the Queen she lights something. This is before she passed, obviously. There's 3 strands of DNA spiraling light across the lawn, and it's it's sparking those 3 strands of DNA, I guess, and it's going up all the way to a tree, and then the light travels up the tree, and you have the Tree of Life. So pretty interesting there, Basil. I don't know if you can see some of this.
And for those who don't know, the Tree of Life being the sort of Kabbalistic symbol.
Yes.
Spiritual symbol.
Yes.
Yeah. Which is kind of a weird thing for the Queen to be lighting.
Yeah, well, no. Yeah. Some would say so. Some would say it's obvious that
if you were a normie,
yeah, the normie would be like, "What's up with that?"
Well, you probably didn't know what it is, but yes, when you know that the Queen is actually a lizard person in a human suit, makes a lot more sense.
Makes total sense. Yeah. So anyway, thank you very much, Rochelle. Appreciate the insight as always. Again, the talent comes in many forms here. All right, let's do a little bit of art. Oh no, audio production.
Audio production.
We have one from Jonathan F.
Jonathan F.
There was a couple emails that came in. One of them I was a little confused about, but this one was not confusing. This one is a jingle titled Biden. Oh boy, what is this word here? Traunana Shanur Sherferner Pressure.
I'll do what he's unable to do. I'll lead an effective strategy to mobilize. Shoot it,
Sure.
I like that. That's a good one.
Hilarious.
That's
we got to put that on the Biden list.
Yeah, yeah. This is going right in the Biden folder right now. There you go, Jonathan F. Thank you very much. Okay, we got some art.
One art, please.
We have Sir Dove.
One art, please, from Dove.
And we have a note, and it says the following. Peace. For today's artwork, I made a possible merit badge for the street teamers. Hope you guys like it. Keep doing what you do. I'll keep praying for you, Dove.
Yes, 1,000 times yes, Sir Dove. We've got a merit badge design for, yes, when somebody gets the street team flyers and you do your job and you hang them up for the show, this will be the street team badge. You've got the classic circular design here. It says street team up at the top, badge down at the bottom. And in the middle, you've got two beanie-wearing hoodie.
Looks like Canary boy and Canary girl.
Yes. You've got no matter who you are, you can get some Canary Christ Street Team flyers, hang them up, do your job, and people will see them. They will laugh and they will come to the show. And they've got their spackle, their spackle scrapers or whatever, and they are hanging up the FLIPPY flyers. You've also got a Commie Cry radio flyer there. You've got the the boxing match poster.
Oh right,
I forgot about that one. I don't know if I put that one up on the site. Yeah, I love that one. That's I forget who you're boxing in that match. I can't quite see it here, but
Rosewater. I think it's you.
Is it me?
Yeah.
Oh, it was us boxing each other. That's right. Oh man, this is funny. Thank you very much, Sir Dove.
Thank you, Sir Dove. Appreciate it as always. All right, we're gonna do a couple. Actually, we have 4 microfictions today.
Microfiction. Microfiction.
First one is from Runk Smash.
There's a lot of microfictions.
Yeah. Before we go in, do we want to say that there is
we might need to split some of these. Yeah. So we haven't said it in a while. The general character count for microfiction is 244 characters. That simply comes from the PayPal note box that comes in the PayPal, the PayPal note thingy. I think, let's see here. The problem is that last one, it's a little long, but it's like a spoken word situation. So I don't know if we can even chop it up. But Steven, let's chop Steve. We'll do Stevens in half.
I think it's
and we'll read the.
I think it's officially Stefan. Yeah.
Okay, Stefan. We'll do the Stefan's second half on Friday. Okay. Here we
You've
go.
been chopped, Stefan, but not completely.
Sorry, Stefan.
All right, this is Runk Smash.
Anybody wants to do microfiction, keep the character count to about 250.
Yeah, micro.
That's not
fiction,
word,
folks. Micro.
Not word count, by the way. Not word count. Character count.
Okay. Runk Smash.
From the throne, the 3 dark wizards shout at the new Christian pilgrims. Your Q God won't even accept you. You're all lab-grown abominations. But they're met with a ringing rebuke from an old man running as fast as the limp aunt gave him allows.
Pretty good summary.
3 dark wizards, guns.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, always.
Thank you very much, Runk Smash.
Thank you, Runk Smash. All right, we got one from the Sentinel.
The 3 men sit around a campfire. Fried wormicorns, my favorite, one says. Just then they hear a screeching from above. A troop of airborne arachnids is diving straight for them. Ambush!
Oh yeah, like it when the music hits right on time. I can see the arachnids.
Balloon spiders, run!
More on balloon spiders shortly. Okay, Stefan, part 1, I guess. Is that how you're gonna do this?
Yeah.
Stefan, part 1.
on a con call with Victor Borgnine, the international weapons dealer, the techno-giant lone scum received the progress of his experimental military project of embedding cyber brain processors into Fredonia officers. Wonderful! My plans are finally unfurling.
Oh, yeah, you got to tune in on Friday. If anything else, for Stefan's second half of Microfiction, because I want to hear more from Victor Borgnine. Or no, Lone Scum.
Victor Borgnine. Yes. Thank you very much, Stefan.
Stefan. All right, here's one from Dawn.
Yeah, 1 second before we get started. I seem to remember that there was a note with this. I just want to... this is from Mission Warrior.
Oh.
Yeah, it's not... Yeah, I'm looking at it now. This is from Mission Warrior. Okay, yes. This is from Mission Warrior, and the note is for us, and let's go. Do you have music for this one?
Well, it's the same music, but yeah, people can share.
The same music. We got to get you more music, man. A hero steps into the picture, an unknown character that no one expected, observing the world and seeing through the riddles. The patient's power has finally kicked into gear after word of a current dystopian society, which has been forming for some time with artificial wombs and gender confusion on the rise. The Antichrist starts to show its face. Destroy the woman! She is the devil! Replace the sacred womb, and I will give you everlasting bodies. Our hero overhears this blasphemous command, pondering with painful frustration, crashing like waves. There must be a way to warn the population.
Epic.
Yeah, the war on women really continues, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mission Warrior.
Thank you, Mission Warrior. Apologies for the earlier doxing there, but hopefully it's not too bad of a dox. I have doxed people here before.
I know. You just gotta stop talking about it, man. We gotta. You're just like lingering on it.
It upsets me. I fail.
I know.
It's
but you
it's
just
my
ignore
culture.
It, 'cause
you
if
just
you didn't say that.
You
if
dwell.
If you didn't say it, it could have been anything. It could have been any mistake.
Sure. All right. Thank you very much to all the producers. We appreciate all of you, and we thank you for your contributions. Oh, hello, Cody. Cody's up. Anything else to say about the producers, Basil?
Yeah, if you're an artist or creative person at all, musician, whatever, make something and head on over to canarycry.art, where you can upload it, send it in, and we'll put it on the show. We love it. It's a very important part of the show, and we appreciate our very talented producers putting value back in. Canarycry.art.
It's cold, Basil. It's cold. Antarctica, go first.
It's snowstorm. Antarctica. Ice scientists are penguins.
Antarctica, they're opening the abyss.
So a new discovery.
Antarctica.
Climate crisis. Penguins.
And dark matter.
Interesting. As this happens a lot, especially with the Antarctica stuff, is seemingly entirely unrelated topics come together, topics that we've been looking into or just thought were weird or did some analysis on, come together specifically in Antarctica. This is coming from Wired, and it says, the headline, Anti-Helium offers hope in search for dark matter. Oh, God.
Don't lose hope for dark matter yet. Anti-helium is here.
You ever need some hope? Just grab that heavy balloon and suck down some anti-helium. A few years ago, physicist Ivan Vorobyev's team at the Large Hadron Collider began producing an exotic form of antimatter known as anti-helium. Antimatter is that elusive substance that annihilates upon meeting regular matter, and anti-helium is the antimatter twin of the classic helium atom. Twin. More like the evil twin.
Yeah, it's like the negative twin.
Yeah. The bizarro helium. The stuff you find in party balloons. While no human has ever conclusively found a naturally occurring anti-helium particle on Earth, it could be key to answering one of the biggest outstanding mysteries in physics, the nature of dark matter. We must find the anti-helium, Gons. While this beast may be rare on Earth,
it's a beast.
It's a weird thing to call a piece of anti-helium a beast. Physicists think it could be abundant in our galaxy, formed by the decay of dark matter, an invisible substance that seems to make up 85% of the universe's matter. On Monday, Vorobyev's team announced that they generated about 18,000 anti-helium nuclei, and more notably, that they used their result to calculate the odds that Earth-based detectors could capture anti-helium drifting in from space, where it might signify the presence of dark matter. Between 2016 and 2018, Vorobyev's team had smashed more than 1 billion particles in LHC's 16-mile ring. Based in Geneva, they performed 2 types of particle collisions, protons with protons and lead ions with lead ions, which break apart to form a myriad of new particles, such as pions, kaons, and more protons. Wow!
Leons, leons, and tigers.
Recording the wreckage requires petabytes. That's thousands of portable hard drives of data. Then they begin to sift through it. Quote, "We filter out only the part that is interesting to us," says Vorobyev, a member of the ALICE collaboration, which conducted the project. The acronym stands for a Large Ion Collider Experiment. And then it goes into a bit more of the science-y kind of stuff. But so far, we have anti-helium, which is just a beautiful thing. And, well, I mean, we have got the Large Hadron Collider, which we've been following for about a decade.
Yeah, start the show with the portal, end the show with the portal, of course.
That's right. I'm going to skip down a few paragraphs here. It says the results are promising. We have seen that half of them will survive. Is this the right one? Do you know which? I missed. No,
that's wrong. That's the one. Read that paragraph. Yeah, okay. The results are promising. Quote.
So they describe some experiments they do or whatever, and this is boring. We have seen that half of them will survive the trip to the detectors near Earth, says Vorobyev, and that is a good sign that physicists' antimatter detectors will eventually catch a traveling anti-helium particle. They mean from space. AMS, which detected the probable signals reported in 2016, is still looking. A new instrument called the General Antiparticle Spectrometer.
Gas.
It is gas. Gas, yeah. General Antiparticle Spectrometer is scheduled to launch in a balloon into the Antarctic atmosphere in late 2023, where it will look for anti-helium along with other particles at an altitude of 25 miles. Folks, we got more balloons in Antarctica. And not only that, but these balloons are looking for dark matter. Now, if you need a refresher, we've documented in the past how, a lot of allegedly climate change scientists get sent down to Antarctica. Now, recently, these climate change scientists are not climate change scientists.
Yeah.
They're actually astrobiologists and dark matter researchers who seem to be getting sent down to Antarctica clandestinely to study dark matter, but in the name of climate science, which is strange. They've talked about some, meteorites fields, like fields and fields of meteorites down in Antarctica that will, give us the secrets to dark matter and new minerals, stuff like that. So dark matter and Antarctica has always been a thing. And then last episode, Gons, we learned about the balloon spiders, where they're sending up spider, which I guess is some sort of instrument to detect photons and some other sort of weird detector. But so they're sending up balloons with spiders. You've got flying arachnids. It's a whole disaster. It's a whole thing. You got to watch out. Stay armed, folks. But now they're also sending up balloons looking for anti-helium, which is funny because it kind of sounds like if you filled a balloon with anti-helium, it might not float, but might crush through the center of the Earth.
I was going to say, yeah, if helium creates in a balloon, an expansion, yeah, then anti-helium would create a contraction, maybe some kind of pinch.
Oh, I don't think it's not. Oh, you mean in your voice? You mean when you suck it down?
No, the spiders. The spiders go in and out of reality. I think that's what it is.
Oh, you think so? Maybe this is part of the war against the balloon spiders. So you've got one faction of scientists sending spiders up in balloons in Antarctica. Then you've got this other faction of scientists who are sending up anti-helium spider zappers to get those balloons back down to Earth. I don't know, just a theory here. This new work illustrates how convoluted and uncertain the scientific process can be.
Oh, there's some facts there.
Yeah, no, this is what I love. This is what I love about science, especially Antarctica science, because as we've noted, almost all Antarctica science is about as convoluted and uncertain as possible. To tackle a question as big as dark matter, theorists have had to brainstorm how researchers might be able to detect it on Earth. Experimentalists have had to run tests like Vorobyev's to verify the theory's ideas. Astrophysicists have had to build instruments like balloons to look for antimatter signals.
They had to build balloons.
Now the threads are coming together, it says. You're telling me the threads are coming together, at least for anti-helium-based dark matter searches. Quote, it's a really good melding of communities to try to come up with answers to these really difficult problems. So they're excited about, the coming together of communities in this article. I'm pretty excited about the coming together of all of our Antarctica theories. Starting to get wrapped up with a nice little bow.
Well, we decided to move this story to Friday.
No, don't say it.
Oh, it's so good. It's so relevant to this conversation. All right. Okay, fine. I will tease.
Talk about it again.
I will tease everybody listening.
No, you're not teasing.
No, I'm not. I'm teasing now. This is the tease. I'm not going to say anything about it, but there's something.
The tease is that you're going to actually save the story for the show.
Save the story.
We do the story. Yeah. Okay.
I did find this article from 2008 on New Scientist. Has dark matter signal been found in Antarctica's skies? That's been a thing for a while. And then also a 2015 article, At the South Pole. This is a Yale.edu. Searching for extragalactic neutrinos and dark matter in the Antarctic ice. So, yeah, they've been really interested in dark matter in Antarctica for a long time. And
dark matter in the White Desert.
In the White Desert, yeah. Wow, man, this is
a memoir. A memoir by Basil Rosewater.
It's the entire Antarctica thing is the checkered floor in the Freemason temple. It's the dark matter in the
exactly. Yeah.
All right.
Well, there you go, folks. Watch out for balloons.
Watch out for Roger Stone. Watch out for stones. Matter. Portals. Dark matter.
Stones.
A lot of things to be.
Roger Stone should throw stones if he sees a balloon spider coming at him.
Don't be the first to throw a stone.
Don't suck down anti-helium. Lots of good advice in this show. And we thank you for watching it, folks. Thank you very, very much. We will be back on Friday to wrap up the week, so everybody stay safe. Don't blow up your computers. Thank you to our producers, especially our executive producers, keeping this show alive today. But we got a few more producers who kept the show going with their time. Some very important back-end producers. Let's thank them now, starting with our Clippies.
Clipping all those videos. Thanks.
Thank you.
That's right. Emsworth and Faye Liverin, thank you guys so much for clipping out the show. I've not heard back from Team YouTube about our appeal of the appeal process, but I did just ping them again on Twitter. We'll see what happens.
You're building personal relationships over there.
Go follow the Canary Cry Clips channel on YouTube and Odyssey, everybody. This show all clipped out nice and neat. It's a wonderful way to catch up on information, review some older information, or share it with your friends. And while you're at it, make sure to drop a message. Thank Emsworth and Faye Liverin. And they couldn't do it without the timestamps.
Timestamp, it's hard work. Timestamp.
That's right. Thank you to Jade Bouncerson for doing the timestamps for episode 570.
Thank you, Jade Bouncerson. Appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. And thank you to our social media gal.
The social media consultant.
Thanks so much. Social media, follow us.
Dave Misty, the OV in the Deep Rivers, making sure our art, or the artist's art, gets out there on the social media so everybody can enjoy it. Appreciate it very much. CanaryCrimeMeetups.com.
Canary Crime Meetups.
Yeah, this is where you can find meetups. It's kind of weird. This is the first time in like few years that there's no meetups to announce. I guess we have some meetups in 2023 coming up. But if anybody wants to put on a meetup, I know it's the holidays. Everybody's busy. We get it. But if you want to put on a meetup, meet Canarians in your area, just pick a place, pick a time, tell us. We'll put it on the website, and they will come. CanaryCrimeMeetups.com. We'll see you there.
Yes, we will.
This is fun. See you at the meetup.
I know there was the last meetup that we had. I don't know much about the Canada meetup, but the Missouri Silver Dollar meetup. I know Sam, our buddy Sam, was there. And,
great.
He said he hung out with.
Tell Sam to send in a meetup report.
Yeah, tried.
Yeah.
I'll try again. I'll be more explicit about that. Yeah. I think.
Come on, Sam. Let us know what's going on, buddy. Yeah. Okay. There you go. Leave us ratings and reviews as well. Yeah, you heard the Sentinel. The Sentinel told you. It's time to leave some ratings and reviews, baby, because you don't want Gonz's grumpy uncle to shower you with shame. Although it did work. We did get more reviews when Gonz's grumpy uncle was shaming everybody, so it sounds like we might have to bring him back. So head on over to Apple Podcasts. Most of you are listening to this on Apple Podcasts. Just take a second, leave a rating and a review on the show. It's very helpful. It gets those algorithms pumping, baby, and that's what it takes to fight the algo wars. It's a very effective way to help people find the show. Gonz is Gonz's grumpy uncle in the room with us right now?
Ugly, horrible person. You must leave review on iTunes. And if you do not, you are ugly, horrible person. You bring shame to family. Ugly, horrible person.
There he is.
There he is, folks. There he is. All right. Other than that, thanks, Jam, for the links. Thanks, Clank and Iphius, for the excellent personal assistance.
Clank.
And other than that, just share the show, folks. Share it with your friends. Share it with your family. Some of you are, you're kind of the weirdos, the black sheep of the family, and you don't want to share it in the normal way people share podcasts. I mean, I get it. You want to make sure that you're not doing things the old-fashioned way for no good reason. So if you wanted, you could take a different approach. kind of like, well, last time, instead of putting spiders on balloons and sending them around, you could fill those balloons up with anti-helium. And so when the podcast you've tied to the balloon, when you let go of the balloon, it doesn't float up and away to find some skyborn podcast listener. When you let go of it, it will simply just crash through the earth and make its way through the various layers. And depending on the shape of the earth you subscribe to, it could either be a nice surprise for somebody in Australia with a balloon popping up through the ground, exploding beneath them, and showering them with bits of dirt and rock and maybe some lava, but just like a fun amount of lava, not like a scary, ouchy amount of lava. And then what's that? Yeah, it's a balloon. Cute. We love balloons. And tied to that balloon is a podcast that will entirely change their life. Or if you're more of a flat earther, I guess that balloon would just crash straight down into Sheol. And then the podcast would be in hell. And I don't know what that would accomplish. So maybe this one is just for globe earthers. If you're a flat earther, just stick with the regular balloon. That's very important to do. No matter what you do or what shape the earth you think is, just share the show. And we like to call it rattling cages. And if you need any more instructions, here's what you do. You just walk right up to them, you grab them by the cage, and then you shake it.
The end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted.
I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
The human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
That's right. Just ask Noah. Guns, any last words?
Happy birthday to LA one more time. I think that's it.
I love LA. Remember that song?
I very much remember that song. And they play that song all the time at Laker games.
Yeah. Yeah, they do.
Yeah. The guy
all right, everybody. Thanks for listening to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. Make sure to tune in next time. But until then, think outside the cage.
People are mean. There's some mean people out there.
Where?
The internet.
We will hunt you down and make you pay. Give me a break.
It will kill.
I'll keep you warm and safe in my people's zoo.
This is the United States of America, for God's sake. Armageddon's on the way. Feed him more. Feed him more.
Remember, reality is an illusion. The universe is a hologram. Buy gold. Buy!
Can I tell you a sort of a twisted pleasure that I have?
It's okay. No.
Clearing out that lint trap. Clearing out that lint trap. Clearing out that lint trap. Clearing out that lint. Clearing out that lint trap. Clearing out that lint trap. Clearing out that lint trap.
It takes time. Oh, a lint catcher.
I love it, man.
Hey, you gotta clean this out. It's like, a lint catcher. It's a great reset. A lint catcher.
I love it, man.
Hey, you gotta clean this out. A lint catcher.
I love it, man.
Yeah.
I love peeling off that big old lint trap, rolling it into a ball, peeling off that big old lint trap. It's just like throwing it in the trash, really. Should I be saving this?
No.
You could knit it into a scarf or something?
No.
Surely. It's very soft.
No.
This would make really good fire starter. You are a weird prepper. hoarder, like a weird guy, man. Weird prepper, not normal, like a weird guy, man. Clearing out that lint trap. No. Clearing out that lint trap. Clearing out that lint trap. That lint trap. I know it's gross, folks.
A lint catcher.
I love it, man.
You gotta clean this out. It's like a lint catcher. It's a great reset. A lint catcher.
I love it, man.
You gotta clean this out. A lint catcher.
I love that. I am constantly having to remind myself, wear a pink shirt for the show. Constantly having to remind myself, save the dryer lint, use it as fire starter, knit a scarf, save the dryer lint.
Yeah, what was GSK's most recent problem? They did some horrible thing.
Yeah, no, we reported on it. Was it last summer? I don't remember.
It was recently they were caught doing something horrible. What's the word? We do GlaxoSmithKline crimes? What's the scandal, maybe? Was it a scandal? Plead guilty and pay $3 billion to resolve fraud. Yeah, okay. So they had this was back in 2012, though. Yeah, failure to report safety data. So, kind of the similar thing that Heiser and everybody else did. They all had to, they're all just constantly lying. Let's see, they had a bribery case in China. That's nice. They had, what is this one? $750 million to resolve criminal and civil liability regarding manufacturing deficiencies at Puerto Rico plant. Okay. Yeah.
Why do all these companies have a huge history of breaking the law?
I'm telling you, man, it is not even that crazy to call these pharma companies just full-on criminal organizations.
Yeah.
This is the way.
When the news of the day gets to feeling like a maze, it's okay, don't be afraid if you don't know what to say. Canary, cry away. When your brain's in a haze and a headline days, come on, I head my way, I can help you out the cage. Canary, cry away. Canary, cry away. Oh, canary, cry away. Oh, the world's changing every day, each and every way you turn, there's another thing to learn. Reading in between the lines, thanking Jesus for our lives, and nice to see His glory shining like the sun. Run the race until it's done. Come on, everyone. Canary, cry away. Oh, canary, cry away. When your brain's in a haze and the headline days, come on, I had my way, I can help you out the cage. Canary, cry away.
Give me a break.
Goodbye, everybody. And that's the end. And everyone says, oh, that was fun. Bye. I'm out of here. Bye.
CanaryCryRadio.com/support.